Easy. We
We're
are
live.
live. What's up? It's your boy, John Darko Chapman. And as always, my constituent slash peer slash partner, not like that, but my boy.
Robert, what? Yeah, I'm over here, man. Robert Waters, Graphite. What's happening? We're doing all right. How's everybody in the pit? Give us some shout outs in the chat. Love to hear from you guys.
Illegitimate partner in crime. So yeah, I'm
That's
sure
exactly
people
what
will
it is.
start tacking on as we go on.
Yeah.
It's usually how it goes. And yeah, man. So what's been going on, brother? How was your week, man?
Man, week was good, man. Got some new edits out that I'm pretty proud of. Like some new composites that I feel like I've done better on those than I've done in the past. So I'm happy with them. Other
Nice.
than that, got some product stuff that's starting to come out. Local oh, what is it? It's called Black Girls Do Bike. And they're building some clothing, like a clothing line, so like a activewear for biking. So we did some product shots for that, so it was cool.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I saw you. I saw some composite stuff that you put up recently. Some other
Yeah,
stuff. See you tinkering around a bit.
messing around.
I saw one that our first guest we had on that we did the tutorial with. It was Dan, right? It was he did was dope. He did like a whole little underworld kind of thing, and
Yeah,
it was dope. We gotta show that at some point for you.
yeah.
He
Right.
took our lighting tutorial we did to heart and created something dope.
He killed it.
Yeah, man. For me, it's been blah. Taxes. I was still going through it buying this house, but it's coming together.
Oh man,
soon. Yeah, so all that's going on. Mainly movie posters has been the main thing that I've been doing a lot of lately. I got contracted out for about 3 of them right now.
Oh, nice.
Already like behind. I'm like behind deadline, but at the same time, they called me last minute behind deadline, so they needed it the day before.
Oh, jeez. I hate those.
This kind of ties into our guest we're about to have on, but sometimes what happens a lot of times with so I have one that's a major project, and the other 2 are like independent films. But still, like have a decent cast and some well-known actors in it and stuff like that. And so a lot of times the independent films, a lot of times they don't even think about their marketing until they're done. And so by the time it comes around for like the movie poster and all that kind of stuff, they didn't even think about it until it was like, oh, dad, we need a movie poster. So a lot of times what ends up happening is by the time they come to me or someone like me to do it, the actors they worked with or whoever, they're all gone. They all went their separate ways and whatever places they live in areas and so forth. And so they can't get them back a lot of times, or it costs them a lot of money and so forth. What's up, Kevin D. Blackstone? What's up, Blackstone? What's going on, man? So a lot of times what I have to do is, and then the other part, they'll like fish and try and find pictures and send me, right? And the pictures they always send is like, they're like terrible iPhone pictures and stuff. I'm like, bro, I
can't do it.
Or it's like, well, the problem is they'll see my work and they'll go, yo, yeah, you're that guy. And I'll go, cool, man. And they'll send me like, can you work with this? And I'm like, no.
That's
cool. Bro, it ain't happening.
There's not enough pixels there, sir.
Yeah. So then what ends up happening a lot of times is I have them send me the footage. Send me, like the raw footage. And a lot of times they shot on a decent camera, Red, Epic or something, or an RE or whatever. So, the raw footage is pretty good. So I'll have to skim through a lot of the footage and it takes snapshots of the footage in a TIFF file and then translate it and kind of go from there. I'll probably show one a little later today. So yeah, man, I'm doing one that's one was like Montel Williams in it and Beanie Siegel.
Oh wow.
and then the other one is for Dave Chappelle's company.
Oh, nice.
He kind of formed a new thing with Netflix and is putting out like a bunch of like movies and specials and whatever. And this one has a Earthquake and what's the guy? I'm rich, man.
Who is that?
I always forget his name. They star in it, and it's like by Chappelle's company. So those are kind of the ones I'm working on right now. And it's So
that's what's up.
Kind of current events, basically.
That's what's up.
SMD, what's up, bruh?
What's happening?
For sure. We will have you on here soon. Yo, didn't SMD shoot a model you shot?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. In fact, I have some pictures coming out with her after the composites I have. So
She seems like she's cool.
Yeah, she's really nice. I think she's from Philly, so yeah, she's out your way. Wow. Yeah, I told her about you at some point.
I'll probably link up with her eventually. I know she started following me, So
yeah.
But yeah, we busting it up enough. Let's get into it, y'all. We have a very special guest. This is a good friend of mine. God, we got to talk when he brings, because I don't even remember fully how we fully met. I got his number and contacted him and so forth, and he appeared in a music video that I did a long time ago, which was, that was a whole nother story. But it was good times. We had a lot of fun shooting on those types of small projects and stuff, man. It was a lot of fun, man. And at that time, I think he was just acting and modeling. And since then, he moved on, and he's a director and a businessman and doing his thing. So most definitely, we have an awesome guest for you guys. Before we get to that, we always got to show the intro. So
roll credits.
So, without further ado, we are bringing on our guest for the evening, Mr. the one, the only, Mark Johnson.
Hey, appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for having me. Hey, thanks, man. And I was sitting here cracking up when you were talking about how we first met.
Man.
It was definitely on that music video shoot. The guy that used to do my makeup. He had called me Sean. Yeah, he called me like, he was like, yeah, I got this guy, he's looking for a model, and I think you'll be great for it. And I was like, bet, yeah, let's do it. And I met you then, and we've been rocking ever since, man. We had a lot of fun on that shoot.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of like what you said. You think about the whole project you did, you be like, yeah, that's another story for another time. But we had a lot of fun.
You know how it goes, man. Especially with music artists, especially new music artists come out. They're so with everything and how because and I get it. This is their first time, the new album, whatever they're doing, and they they want to make a big splash, so they tend to get a little too critical,
overzealous.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes. We had a lot of fun though. That was a fun shoot, man. We did a lot of stuff. Remember we hit the fire? Was you there when? I think you were.
No,
there.
I didn't do that one.
I think you left. You left right after.
I left. Yeah,
because we was at Gigi's spot. And we set the fire alarm off. We cost them a fine and all this other stuff using smoke machines. And oh man, it was a trip. We had a lot of fun, man. I miss those days sometimes.
No, I know it felt good reflecting back on that stuff. But definitely hearing what y'all got going on. Congratulations to y'all on all the things that y'all got going on. The movie posters and stuff for you as well. Super dope, man.
Appreciate it,
man.
Absolutely,
sure. So yeah, man. So let's kind of get right into it. Basically, tell us a little bit about just kind of your background, man. Your career. Yeah. When I first met you, you were acting. I think you did a little modeling too.
Yeah.
He was swole, y'all. He's still swole. He was like, I take a little. I remember he was all right. He's like, I just take a little creatine. I don't know.
That's it.
I'm still doing it, man. I'm still at it. I ain't how I was back then, but it's all still there.
Yeah, I was scrolling through his Instagram, man. He seems like as it was going backwards, he was getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man. But it's been a joy, just to ride the journey of this whole, process. And I kind of migrated away from acting. And and stopped acting probably like a few years ago. I just wanted to start opening up more opportunity because when I was acting, the industry wasn't as diverse as it is today. You know, where they were giving a lot of African Americans a lot of roles. It was still more stereotypes. You know, so when I would go for roles, it would be, you know, the gangster, the bad guy. You know, I never got like them husband type roles, like the stuff I wanted. And I look young. I would take high school, you know, at that time, but they still wasn't pitching me for that type of stuff. And I kind of got tired of it. And I was like, listen, I need to go a different route and start creating my own content. You know, I know how to shoot. Um, I know how to, you know, do these things. So let me go ahead and just start creating my own narrative. And, you know, like you just had up there, the quad, you know, shout out to my bro, Kevin Savage. I was able to, you know, get on that because of him. And like, man, we got, our relationship is like, you know, super dope. So, you know, he invited me down to Atlanta. I was doing there as an extra, and then they was like, yo, which, can you come back? Would you like be a part of the football team? I'm like, bet, yeah, I'll do it. And I was already considering moving to Atlanta at the time. So, you know, I wound up staying there a little bit longer, and then I actually wound up moving down to Atlanta for about a year before I wound up moving back to Philly. But you know, my decisions to stop acting was like, you know, I just want to create more content for people that look like us, you know. And it was too many people that looked like us wanted to be actors, but nobody wanted to be directors, producers, you know, people that actually call the shots. And those that, because it's much harder to do, or financial, you know, stability of what it takes to create a film. You know, it takes a lot of money to create a film, you know. And that picture right there is a throwback with me and Will Dad, you know, when I first got to meet him and through my acting journey. My big brother, Donald Welch, he lives in California, Philadelphia native as well, out Cali doing his thing, introduced me, and we had a great talk, man, just about career and about success and what success means to me. So, you know, I think at a young age, in that picture, I was probably like 25. You know, I was able to define success differently than a lot of 25-year-olds, you know, go on my path as an actor, because I was around so many people with so much wisdom, you know, that was steering me in the right direction, that kind of started leading me to like, yeah, I really want to be behind the scenes. Like, I'm good out here, and I'm good with you know, being on set and meeting all these people, but I felt glorified in offering opportunity to people. So that's why I kind of stepped behind the camera.
Nice, man. Yeah, man. I'm seeing everything and some of the people you worked with, for sure.
Yeah, that's my guy right there.
I'm sorry, say again.
I said that's my guy right there, Sean Blakemore. I was happy to work with him, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so you know, from the transition over and what you started doing in film and directing and so forth, and just behind the scenes, you know, tell us a little bit about that and just kind of what that journey's been. Because I can, you know, from what I know of you and so forth, you've acted, it seems like your 20s, a little bit into 30s, and then
yeah,
you made a big transition over to really getting more deeper into directing and so forth, and filmmaking,
right,
videography, and all of it.
yeah. So when I decided to take a step away from acting, I think it was like 2016. I really took this step, or 17. I took a step away from it, and I really wanted to find what was for me. Like, I knew acting was like dope, but I always was behind the camera. My mom and dad had a production company where we shot weddings and, you know, church services and stuff. So I always had an eye for the camera. You know, camera was always my thing. So when I decided to jump from in front of the camera, I said I want to jump back behind the camera. Like, I understand cameras, I understand how to shoot. I love angles. I love creating, you know, compositions that is pleasing to the eye and make people like really love movies. Like, when I watch movies today, I'm really drawn to what the camera emotion is and what it is to make people feel a way by camera emotion, not just the acting, because the acting is going to do its part, but just camera emotion and how that makes us feel. And I was really intrigued by it and interested in it. And I just dived all the way in, man. I just started investing in equipment, you know, and my own stuff. And I got tired of renting. So I was like, I need to have my own, you know, arsenal that I could just go out here and create dope films with people that's hungry. And that's what we literally started doing. So, you know, we did our first film. And like literally my first film I did was, I think it was Deep Undercover. I had a lot of people on there. Um, I probably in that process not bit off too much I could chew, but I didn't understand what it took to make a movie because it was my first film, you know. So I ran out of budget, you know, halfway through the film, and I couldn't finish making the film, and I had to shelf it, and I was like, yo, I can't, I gotta find another way to make money, you know, because I wasn't just at that time when I pulled out of acting, that was a lot of money I was making there, and I didn't have anything to replace that. So I thought just like doing my own film, I could do a premiere, and it's like it'd be dope, and I could make this money. But I was like, dang, I ain't got nothing filling that in. And then I was like, I gotta start doing weddings. You know, let me start doing weddings. My mom and dad, you know, they taught me how to do this, so I'm gonna just go out and start doing weddings. And I started doing that. And then I started bringing in more money. My wife was working at the IRS. She took out a loan from her job to buy her first camera. You know, and it was just us making a pact like this, what we gonna do. So a lot of the stuff we do today she directs. You know, I do direct, you know, other people's stuff. I do get calls for it, but I'm more so just DP and edit, you know, and color behind the scenes because that's what I really love about it. So, you know, and I love making, you know, stories like, you know, this that wedding you just pulled up. Those things come true and feel realistic. You know, when you watch it, you feel the love in this type of relationship, and that's what camera does for you that I didn't get through acting. Like through acting, like you know, actors do make you feel an emotion, but we don't have control over like the entire film. Like what gets cut, what gets shown, what emotion should have went or didn't go. Like that's all left to the director and their team behind the scenes to do. And I felt like, yo, I want to be part of that process of the storytelling because I think that part for me just made me feel a lot better, making my actors shine. You know, when I get to get in the editing room and see that, and I just again, I have more joy in that. So that's where I'm at today. You know, we doing a film called The Therapist right now. This film I actually had all the money to complete it with, so it was dope, and all of our actors was amazing. And we're in the editing process right now. We talked to a few, you know, networks that we want to put the movie on and get distribution for. But I think right now is you know the marketing and making sure that the marketing is on point. You know, so we got a premiere date set for October, but I just want to make sure we have enough time to promote. And I think, like you alluded to in the beginning, a lot of filmmakers don't take uh, marketing dollars and all of that stuff into consideration into the end. You know, and the movie poster, I made movie posters as well. So I made all of our movie posters, you know, from the very beginning. So I love that creative part of it, you know, and I know in the beginning, like, all right, we got a movie poster, we got a promo, because we can't do this when, like, you know, the film is done. It's got to be done prior to, so we could set ourselves up if we want to start throwing it out there and doing different stuff just to build up anticipation. So I think I just learned the business more um, in this whole process, and I really wanted to learn the business because is this whole business is uh people say 20% show. I say it's 10% show, 90% business. You know,
Yeah.
because there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes. You know, when those actors go home, you might be out on a set for $20,000, $40,000 for 2 days. You know, and then you go on, and everybody else shooting for the rest of that B-roll pickup shots. You know, assistant director got to go and get other, you know, second shots with another crew. You know that nobody sees and knows that go on behind the scenes. So you know, yeah, man, it's so much that goes into the process. But that's where we at right now, you
Nice.
know, and yeah.
So, question for you. You mentioned that you didn't have the budget for one of the first films that you did, and you were able to do the film that you're doing now with you were able to have the budget that you needed. If you were to tell your past self some things that would help them be able to finish that film, what would you tell them, knowing what you know now?
Um, Not to be so anxious to get content out. Like,
Mm,
I think we because we live in a culture where content is like content driven, where it's like you as good as the last thing you put out. Like,
mm,
what have you updated your resume with? All right, I seen this Instagram post you did last week, but I ain't seen nothing this week. You know, so it's all of those things that go into it that I wish I would have told my old self. Mark, slow down. The movie is it might be filming for 2 years, but it's new when everybody see it. To you, it might feel old, but when
mm,
everybody sees it, it's new. You know, so I wish I didn't just rush things in a sense to get it out, because we had so much hype and all the people were saying, "Oh, this is gonna be dope." And like literally, we had Philly set on fire with this film, and I bought into the hype of it, and in the getting the movie out there, and yeah, we're gonna go to Hollywood. I bought into all of that, and I wish I would have told myself, slow down in the process, get all the money you need, and produce this film the right way. And I wish I would have had more people that I could have seek higher counsel in at the time, versus just running out there like, yeah, we got a camera, we got this, we just gonna shoot. And it's so much more to just point and shoot. And that's what I was doing in my first film. I was pointing and shooting.
Interesting.
I feel that, man. I definitely know the struggle. Yeah, I mean, I'll add to that and say, man, but one to the content thing is from photographer. I don't care if you're whatever creative you are, photographer, a music artist, filmmaker, actor, whatever. Yes, content's nice. Yes, having a bunch of things out that people can constantly click on and kind of feed the attention machine and all that kind of stuff in the microwave generation where everything's, if it doesn't entertain in a few couple seconds, they move on kind of. A lot of that's true. A lot of that's good and so forth. But there's also something to be said that, we're a few years into this social media and internet and where we are now, and just the way information and entertainment is transferred to where, it's enough of it. And it's enough of it to where it's enough bad of it. You know what I mean? There's so much that's not quality that now there's more of an emphasis of quality, I think. You know what I mean? And it takes time to do quality. So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that time, especially if you're trying to do it, on whatever level. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing. I don't, from what you said and good advice for people, man, definitely do not be afraid to take your time.
And I wouldn't stray people away from making content. Like, if you got a camera, the only way to get out there to do is learn and shoot, right? But when you, I think the importance that I learned, from transitioning from being an actor to a director, as an actor, you don't understand people's careers are in your hands. Like, their next job is in your hand. As an actor, you just go to the job and then go home. It's no feeling attached. All right, I'm on to the next job. But when you are a production house, like, everything you got in going to the next project is off of the profit, what you make back, what we putting out the market, like how we going to do this and reciprocate these funds to then roll it into the next project. And how can I put these actors that I'm working with and build these relationships with them to build great relationships that I want other actors and other people to be able to work with me as well. And I think I didn't take that. I knew about it because I was an actor, so I didn't want to disrespect actors because I've been an actor already. But I just didn't really consider it so much because it was just the excitement about it. So I would tell anybody, go shoot, like, work on your craft, take classes. Like, I love YouTube. I'm a YouTube university guy, but there is a point where you have to take courses, and you got to go to guys like y'all too, myself, and other people that's out here that's doing it, and invest in yourself and pay for the course. If it's $1,000, pay the $1,000. It's going to be worth it in the end. That you can follow a step-by-step thing that can grow you, in increments, versus you got a YouTube video, it's 10 minutes, and then the next one is, but all the pieces are not actually given to you at one time. It's like broken up, because as a content creators, let's just be real, we're not giving all the gems out like that for free all the time. We like, all right, some of the stuff you got to pay for, and those are the things and the key elements that you're missing as a creative that's trying to grow. Like, don't get me wrong, you get value from it, but investing in yourself. And I think that's what I did as when I got into the business part of this. I just started investing in myself, invested in classes, investing in mentorship, investing in, different ways that I can grow as a businessman. And I did assume the hat of being a businessman, instead of like, oh, I'm a cinematographer. I love the title of a cinematographer, but the business aspect is so crucial that, you know, that's what makes the whole love of that goes full circle. So if I'm great on the business side of it, and then I'm great on the cinematography side of it, when it goes out, like everything just is like a marriage made in heaven, you know, like two couples finding each other, and that's the business and then the love of what you do. And so I would say that to any new creative, even if you are creative and you're struggling of where you fall at and your passion with it, I think those are the things that you need to find within that process to then help you to continue to, you know, grow and keep getting better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there, especially, you know, people being willing to put money into their education, into learning. I think a lot of times that we get that YouTube, and we have to understand that YouTube isn't necessarily about the education. The incentives are different. It's about making sure that people stay on your page. It's about the entertainment a lot of times more than it is about the education. So you'll go to somebody's stream and it's interesting, but they want to keep you there longer. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily about just giving you the information that you need in a concise and clear and actionable way every time. It's not always about that. So yeah, definitely the content that you get from somewhere like a Skillshare or you know, lynda.com or whatever is going to be different than, you know, the information that you're getting on YouTube. It's a completely different type of information.
Yeah.
Plus, man, just the business of it, period. Like at some point to where you get from a hobby to an interest to doing this as something professional that you want to make money off of and a living and so forth. And once you get to that step, if you don't learn the business, you're going to fail. It's just, it is what it is, or you're going to struggle for a very long time. Yeah, and it's tough, man. It's never easy. And I get it, especially as a creative, you know, once again, it doesn't matter what the field is. A lot of times people just want to create. They just want to be the artist. And they don't have to worry about the business and all of that. And some people get lucky to where they're in opportunities that they can actually do that. But for most of the populace, most of the people out here, like you gotta learn that hustle, bro.
That's
and
true.
It's been an ongoing growth and struggle and learning process for myself as well as everyone else. And the business landscape keeps changing. You know what I mean? As technology and different stuff happens and so forth. You know, when I first got in a lot of this game, you know what I mean? You couldn't really get a professional camera. It was very, very expensive. Yeah, get something on any level of a Hollywood, let alone film and everything else. And now it's easily accessible. You know, if you know what you're doing, like it's about as much as a car,
right?
And you can be up and running, so to speak. So, you know, it's a lot to be said, man. And with that, going kind of a little bit back to what you said earlier, Mark, it is not easy being a filmmaker. I think a lot of people think being a director is the same course of being an actor. I don't know why, but I've seen that in the past.
Wow.
Maybe because a lot of times it is actors transitioning over. I don't know. But yeah, it ain't that easy.
It ain't.
It is not easy being a director, especially a small-time director who is making an independent film, trying to get to Hollywood or whatever level you're trying to get to. This thing ain't easy. John Harvell, what's up, man?
What's happening,
bro? Appreciate you, man. What's going on? And B Nick Productions said, "What up, Rob? I don't know B Nick. I can tell Rob you know B Nick."
Yeah, he's on my Facebook and on my Instagram.
What's up, bro? Thanks for having you. Great to have you guys on, I should say, man. Thanks for being here and appreciate it. You guys kind of just tuned in. We're with Mark Johnson, Mark Showtime Johnson, and we're talking about filmmaking and transitioning from director to filmmaker to business owner and so forth, and videographer and so on. Yeah, the process of being a filmmaker and being, more importantly, a successful filmmaker, is very, very hard. Y'all have it's one of the hardest trades, I would say, to get into.
Absolutely.
As far as finding success.
Right.
It's not hard to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, you can learn some steps, so forth, and do it. Doesn't mean you make something good, but you can do it per se. But becoming successful at it is extremely hard.
Yeah.
Because, you're wearing a ton of hats. It's a lot of problem solving. It's a lot of delegating. It's a lot of just different things you got to do. But then on top of all of that, you know, I think one of the hardest things with being a filmmaker is you're in a business that's never really fully lined out for you. The only way you can really learn the business, it's kind of like real estate, or at least how real estate used to be. Real estate's changing now because of the internet and a lot of other stuff.
A lot of people
but it used to be the only way you could really get into real estate and be like a real estate mogul and be that Donald Trump type dude or whatever, is you had to have somebody mentor you. You had to somehow find someone and find your way in and so forth. And filmmaking is very much kind of like that as well. John Harville says learning being a director can take you far, as in photography and video making. It's important skill to know. It
really is.
Across the board. You're directing on some level. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're
absolutely
or whatever. Like you're directing between you know the producer, the music you're trying to create, and whatever and so forth. So there's levels of it for everything, I think. But especially a film director, a Hollywood director, making a movie. People don't realize directors really don't get paid a lot. People think they do, but they really don't. When you break down how much the actors make, and a lot of other people involved in the movie, the producers and so forth, to what the cut that the director gets, a lot of times is a lot smaller.
Than everybody else. That makes sense.
You do not make a lot of money.
Unless you know.
George Lucas is famous for talking about this and how like he made Star everything else, and he was like, you know, I'm a billionaire, I made all this money, but people don't realize he was like, it wasn't from directing. He was like, I got nothing for directing. I lost money directing. He was royalties and stuff. I made money off of the merchandise and all the stuff he did with the toys and everything else. But that's really the thing is like, you know, you can become a successful director. You know, we know some of the big ones that are out there and all, you know, from Spielberg to Christopher Nolan to whatever. But to get to that level and get to that point, man, it's so many different things, from sometimes luck, blessings, you know, curse, whatever you want to call it, to, you know, right place, right time, to you're just really that good and talented, or it's so many different things, so many factors that come into play. Let alone just the business of Hollywood. I don't care who you are, from an actor to a director, getting into it, you don't know. I'm sorry, you don't know it. No matter how much you read, no matter how much you did, you're not going to know the business of Hollywood and the business of making movies until you're really in it. I know I didn't. You know, and I don't
doing it.
And I ain't know nothing by the time I got to, you know, really getting a mentor and a producer who made Hollywood films for real and go, this is how you make a Hollywood film. And here's the funny part. He was my real estate mentor before he was my producing and Hollywood mentor. But he got into Hollywood because of real estate.
Wow.
And funny, I used to fight him like crazy. And I'm still very new to real estate, but like I used to fight him like crazy, literally, you know, this is literally a couple years ago. Because I was like, look, I know real estate, great. I want to do all that too. That's awesome. But I'm a filmmaker, man. This is really what I do. I've been doing this a long time. I see what you're doing. You know, he produced Joker and a lot of other stuff in his company. And I was like, bro, like, help. And he would keep telling me, nah, not until you get this real estate thing down.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, dog. No, look, I get it. Cool.
Man.
I've been doing this for a long. I'm not some chump. Like, I do, like, what's up? You know what I mean? He's like, nah, not you. And the reason I realized he kept doing that was because in a lot of ways, the same ways you flip a house, is how you flip a movie.
Yep.
And once I really started understanding that and understand how the game is really played and how this thing really worked, and finances, credit, using debt in the same way you use debt and stuff to finance your house and everything else, it's the same way you're going to finance a movie. And all that stuff. And once I started really understanding that, I was like, oh.
So let's dig into that a little bit, because that's interesting. What are some of the similarities there? Like what?
Oh boy, now you really got me trying to give away secrets and all.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if I can say all this without getting in trouble a little bit. All right. Well, Mark, you say some of this first before I even
I want to hear you first.
No, you go first, and I'll throw in some.
Like no, like you said, it's really like how you flip a house, and just the preparation for everything, and looking at the market, and for me when I'm making films, it's like when you look at, like you said, when you look at a house, you look at the market price for the house, what's selling in that area at what price is selling at, and all the other homes there, and I kind of look at films, and if I'm in a family market, like a family film, right? A lot of those have a 51% success rate. Like it's a high success rate with family films, and a lot of those films make their money back. So for me, I look at those films, look at what type of films we want to make, and be like, because I used to come in with the the hood flicks. Well, that's how I wanted to start. But I was like, they don't make money. They only appeal to our culture, but they don't make money. It look dope. It is relatable, but it don't make money. And you got to start picking out the things that really make money. It's almost like housing. You're looking in the areas and different places, and you start to look at how these things translate, with what you're doing. And that's how I started for film. As I look at that, like you said, the value of the marketing and all the money that goes into like a rehab is the same money that you putting into your film, and how much you're investing in your film, what you're looking to get out your film, setting projected numbers. Like me and my wife sat down. Shout out to my wife, I share. She's a big part of what we do. A lot of this I cannot do without her and her genius and her smarts. So I'm just proud that she's a strong woman in this process that is embracing what this is now, to like really jump out there and follow her dreams. So we just had a conversation like, hey, what does this look like? We rented a theater, right? And we said, all right, this theater seats these many people. This how much money we spent on producing this film. Looking at how much we want to make back. This how much we want to make back. Looking at what we lost. This will be the profit margins. We'll be up this amount percentage from this. And now, all right, we go that, do that, flip that, for the next film. And it's kind of just like that process, like you were saying, John. So that's some of the things. I won't give all things away. I just wanted to touch on like two things that we look at, and how those things translate, and is similar. So I'm gonna let you jump on and give like one or two gems too.
I gotta be the bad guy here. Kicked out the guild or something.
Just give us one. Just give us one.
So I'll say this. So one thing I tend to see, and it's kind of across the board in every genre of once again creatives, is we tend to be creative. So we tend to focus on the creative part. We tend to focus on the art, narrative, whatever, people part of whatever it is that we're trying to do, right? But at the end of the day, this is a business, which means it's about what? Money, right? So the more you understand money, how to get money, you know what I mean, and how that translates over is everything. And when you understand the whole thing of flipping houses is just, it's a business, right? It's the art of the flip and the art of the sell in a sense.
Yep.
The flip is basically whether it's a business, whether it's a house, whether it's a product, whether it's whatever, a movie, right? The business is you're financing whatever to buy to take that thing, whatever it is, products, whatever, right? And then flip it back over towards customer or whatever for sale, right? And your return on investment, ROI, right? So it kind of plays the same way in with movies. So I'll just throw this little gem. All right. There's two ways, right? In how most Hollywood films are made, right? There's the old way, as they call it, and the new way. The old way was the movie stars. This is why movie stars were so important. This is why Tom Cruise, Matthew McConaughey, or whoever is so important, because they draw in people, they draw in sales. But not only do they draw in sales, they draw in other business. So what used to happen was you were whatever producer, you're whatever person trying to make a movie, right? You got access to money, however you got access to that money. I'm not going to go into that. There's many ways to access.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say to that. However you access your money. All right, you get all your money together, right? Let's say you got, I don't know, and it's usually not that big of a number. It could be $1 million, $500,000, $250,000, whatever, right? 100,000, whatever, right? You would bring that to that actor, he, she, whoever, and you would put them in a holding deal. You get them to read the script, so on and so forth. Do you like this film? If so, yes, I like this film. I think might want to work on this. Cool. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put you in a holding deal. Doesn't mean you're gonna make work. You're everything for the film, but it's an agreement that the contract and so forth. That hey, if we get everything else together and we get the film towards green light, you're locked in. Cool. All right. If it's not, you still get to keep the money, so forth. No harm, no foul, whatever, yada, yada. Thanks for your time, kind of deal. So it's kind of usually how it used to go. So you go to a Tom Cruise, whatever. We got $1 million, whatever. Can we put you in the deal? He don't care because he's going to get the money either way.
Right.
So, right. The rest is the hustle on you. So there's a little bit of a gamble. And then what happens after that is they then take, you take basically Tom Cruise's name in that contract and that holding saying, hey, we got Tom Cruise, right? And now you're able to go and the semi-new hustle, I guess you could say, was, because borders and things have opened up more with films and so forth, because cameras are a lot more accessible now. It's a lot easier to shoot films overseas than it used to be and so forth. You go to a Bumble F country, right? That really wants to make films, but, they don't really have access to and go, hey, we got Tom Cruise. We're going to make this money. How, make this movie. How much can your country, your city, or whatever back us? Right. And then they get X amount of money from that. We use your production people, whatever. We're going to hire a bunch of your people, blah, 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 and so forth. Cool. We got that. Now we bring this back. Now you're able to go to whatever, and then the studio and go, hey, we have XYZ, ABC, all these things together, and Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Let's make a movie. The studio backs you for the rest and so forth, and you're off to the races. So that's kind of the old way of how movies have been made. They still get made to this day, especially independent films and things like that.
Yeah, sure do.
So forth. Where it's changed now, and the game has changed a little bit, is where instead of investing into an actor and coming up with money to hustle to get the actor to then hustle to get everything else, now instead you can buy IP. You can buy intellectual property. You can buy a comic book series, for instance. You can buy a novel. You can buy whatever, and you bank off of that and the popularity of that, and then work your way back through the same process, right? So instead of going to XY country, we got Tom Cruise and whatever, it's going to XY country. We have this comic book and whatever and so forth. It's already sold to X amount and so on. This is what we're going to back for you, whatever. Cool. So forth. Then you go get the actor, then this, and then, it trickles all the way back the same way.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of the process of how movies are made. There's a whole lot more. I'm not just making like it's of course. But just to give you a little insight, like it's a business is the point I'm trying to get at.
It's so key. That's so key. I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh no, I'm done.
All right. It's so key, like you said, it's a business, and when you start, it's a difference. When people say what separates you from the rest, you got amateurs, you got people that come in this and they start, becoming good, and then you got the pros. The pros are the ones that understand how to make money. They understand how to make films, and that's what separates you from, the other people, that you're in this for the business and how we're going to, ROI. That's the biggest thing. That's what matters to me at the end of the day. Like, I want my actors to have huge success. Like, that's number one priority on my list too. But also number one priority on my list is to make the money I need to be able to produce the next film and feed my family, and do the things I need to do. Like, but that's why I started to, in our age now, like you said, it's drastically changed with streaming platforms, Peacock, Netflix, Hulu, Tubi out there now. It's so many streaming platforms that I'm not even mentioning, but it's accessible where content now, everybody's taking content from creators. Some of the stuff that's on these platforms, just call it what it is. It's trash. And it's like, man, like y'all let that on the thing, man. When we start doing that, and I think that's where it diminished the part of what you can be and how people think about filmmaking. and not looking at it like the business, because they just letting so many of these projects and independent projects on the platform just because they need content, and it's making these filmmakers feel like, oh, I produced a film, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a business person, you know, I understand how this worked, my film was on this platform. But it's like, yeah, because they just taking whatever right now. But do you understand, like, did you make money? And if you make money, what kind of contract did you sign? You know, what type of percentage do they get? Like, some of these distribution deals be, all right, the company, you know, depending on streams, got to make 100,000, and but the 100,000 is over the next 2 years. And if your film ain't that popular and ain't on the front page and it ain't being pushed like that, it may take them 2 years to get the 100,000. You might not even get it, and they got to get 100,000 before you even start making a dime.
Bro, they're giving literally Spotify deals to direct.
Right.
Wow.
For real. Like they're giving like
crazy.
crazy like music 360 type deals,
Yeah,
like screwing artists over like to filmmakers now. It's wild.
It's wild, and they not making no money, and they not making no money on the deals, and they and filmmakers don't understand. They're going into these things on exclusive contracts where they only could license their film out for 2 to 3 years for one platform. They can't do anything else for 3 years off that platform and don't make no money, and then I got to go try to take that film somewhere else and try to make money on it, and it just don't translate like that
after it already failed.
Right. Like the only type of films I seen that did that was Money Heist was one of them that was on Netflix. They did that in the UK, and it was real popular, and then it was going out, and then Netflix picked it up, and then people just started watching it, and it blew up. It's one of those things like they all lost hope. They was about to go on to the next project, and then they just heard like, oh, people are loving it, and it just kind of sparked. But that's just having a good story that the rest of the world now got to see. And now that they got to see it because it's from up under somebody else's thumb that is shielding it from everybody else to see, then they were able to have the success that they were able to have. So, you know, it's just understanding those deals that you're falling into as a filmmaker, that you don't get bamboozled, you know, out of the money, and that you be deterred from making more films or being more creative. You just gotta get smarter, and that's why I really turned to the business aspect for this.
Where would you recommend newer filmmakers look, you know, so they don't make bad choices on those kind of deals? Like where's a good place to go, or how to find that information for themselves?
Well, it's books out here, you know, like my first book I read was Filmmaking for Dummies, you know, and that kind of taught me like a lot, you know, about the filmmaking process. And they got, you know, re-editions of that book that they republished that, you know, is much more informal. But it's some other books that actors can read, courses, you know, because every company, no matter what company we talk about, as far as a production house, the production house is in it to win for them, right? You know, the network trying to make as many coins as they want. So if you're gonna fall for the deal, they're gonna let you fall for the deal. You know, so I can't say a network, which network is, oh, they cut the best deals or this one, because really, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get taken advantage of.
Right.
You know, that's just that type of game that world is that, oh, he don't know. So, you know, they'll put the contract in front of you on the first try that benefits them, not necessarily that benefits you. You know, you got to know as a filmmaker your worth. And is it worth, you know, me selling for this? Or can I be like Rocky and I go take my film somewhere else and it's going to be a classic for years to come? You know, those come, you know, every so often. But it's just, you just got to be smart about it. So I would tell people to go get educated, you know, find a proven mentor in this game, you know, that can walk you through some of these processes and what some of these deals look like. Really key in on the business side of this, and maybe you need to go to an ABFF. You know, maybe you need to go to these film festivals and really see how these, you know, producers get cool with a producer, build and form those relationships. Everything I know as well is formed off relationships, and just being allowed to be able to be in an inner circle of people that is on another level than what I am on. You know, that's able to teach me and educate me and show me the things I need to know. So I think it's important for those filmmakers to do that, not just go out here and shoot films and be like, oh, I got my show on or my film on this project or on this platform. It's an achievement, but you know, it's one of those things you'll look back years later and be like, man, I wish I would have, you know, knew better not to do that.
Right.
Yeah, man. I would definitely say to kind of compliment a little more what you're saying is you know, when it comes to the streaming platforms and just all the stuff that's out here and so forth, you know, there is graveyards littered with directors and producers, all kinds of people who very much have their VH1 behind the music stories. And the Hollywood game is played very much the same and just as dirty and everything else. You know, it's not as dirty, I will say, as the music industry. I think you can definitely come up a little bit more and a little bit more often than I could say necessarily the music industry, but it can be tough, man. It can be tough. And the game's changing because of, you know, streaming platforming and all these other new things that keep coming out. The best thing I can tell, you know, my advice, kind of piggyback off of the question you had, Rob, of where to go, where to learn some of these things and so forth. I would tell most people, honestly, especially filmmakers that really want to make the films they want to make and stuff like that, before you even get into learning everything in filmmaking, learn finance. I hate it. Learn finance. Like, what would you rather be? A broke filmmaker with all the knowledge of filmmaking, or a dude with a lot of money that don't know anything about filmmaking?
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes sense.
I wish I would have learned financing and I wish I knew what I knew. You know what I mean? Like, my degrees is in cinematography and all that. And bro, if I could go back, you know what I mean? I still would have done cinematography, but I just would have took every business course I probably possibly could. And the sad part is, even then, you still wouldn't really learn.
Right.
Yeah, because school business is different than real life business.
Yeah.
But just finances, just learning finances, learning where to get the money. Is
funding is good,
because what you got to understand is the same way the Hollywood producer and whoever company and so forth go about getting money is the same way you going to do the same thing. That was the part I had to learn the hard way, because I used to think like, oh, they're getting their money from this special place in Hollywood that pumps out money for movies, special Hollywood way. And it's like, no, they do financing and credit and, you know what I mean, business loans and everything else the same way. They go to the same banks and everything else and so forth. They stuff just together better than yours because they know what they're doing.
Right.
So once I kind of learned that and was like, wait a minute. So I can do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, so on and so on, and I can get this much money? Yeah. And then these other tricks and stuff, yeah. Okay. And you know what I mean? So it's you know, that's the biggest thing. I think people, you know, Hollywood creates this myth and this
smoke
fantasy, the smoke and mirrors, you know, it's Hollywood. Of what it is that it's this magical place that you can only get into if someone opens the door for you and all that. It's complete BS, man. Like, no, like you can really do all this yourself if you really know what you're doing. You just got to figure it out.
That's true.
So yeah, that's the best advice I can give, man. You want to really get into this, start picking up finance books. Start picking up you know, everything from Tony Roberts finance stuff to
I love Tony Roberts.
To Warren Buffett, to all of them.
Okay.
Dad, poor dad, everything that you need to learn and all
learn money.
Be an entrepreneur.
Learn money.
Earn money.
Exactly. And and all those people you mentioned, I have all those books in my room. You know, like I literally read these books and I go back through them. Like I read these books over and over because I'm finding stuff different every time. Because reading these books is so much to process. Right. You know that when you go back over, you miss something that you didn't grasp the first time. But you know, I would say, like you just said, you know, the financing. The biggest thing I'd say is too, like, is I seen people with money waste money. You know, making films, and then I seen people that don't have money with a great story that wind up breaking out. But you know, it was just because it was a great story. You know, financial literacy was still a thing that they didn't know, but you know, they had to be educated along the way, and they probably still left more on the table in the first deal because they didn't have that financial literacy. So I think both of them, you know, hone in. But it's like you said, it's just you got to find a way to learn this for yourself and really anchor in, like, you know, you were saying. And if you're going to do the business side of it, you got to know some type of financing to be able to help you navigate this world. And I mean, that's like in real life, in regular life, right? We got bills, we got different things, You know, you got to learn the finances to be able to do the things that you need to do to operate, to continue to be successful. You know, like I have a venue, 2 venue businesses, right? You know, so I know my overheads is, one is 1,500, the other one's 4,500 a month. You know, I know on an average with my living expenses, my daily life, I can't make less than 12,000 a month. I know I can't. Like that, if I don't do that, I don't survive. Like, so I know I got to go get that, and I got to have spreadsheets and different things that are breaking down my bills and stuff. And it's the same thing in film. You got to have those spreadsheets. You got to know the numbers. Like, you got to look at all these things and financially be invested from the very beginning. If you're not, and you're trying to do that in post production, I feel sorry for you, man. Like,
yeah, that was me for a
Don't worry, that was me too. I had to learn it. That was me too.
Now, listen, I'm in that transition period. Like I'm trying to get to that point. So this is education for me. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's definitely a process.
Yeah, man. It's whew, we talk for days. I swear, because it's so much, boy. They can get emotional because it's whew,
right.
You struggling something, and like I ain't going back to the day job.
Right.
Like, woo, it'd be stressful, bro. But
I'm with you,
man. On top of finances, if I had to give any other advice on the business side of things before we move on to some creative stuff, I would probably say another big problem I see with filmmakers a lot. I'm seeing this especially right now. I hate to say this, but I see this a lot with Black filmmakers.
They gotta learn.
They tend to jump a lot on trends, or they tend to want to find something trendy,
right?
To bounce off of. Not that I don't see this in white filmmakers too and so forth, but like, you know, an amateur filmmaker, whatever, you know, a lot of times it's two sides I see. Either they have just this little story, whatever they made, that they want to be super passionate about, and they don't care. This is my life. This is my film. This is my baby, and I want to make this or whatever. No matter how many times people tell them it's horrible or they can't relate to it or whatever. And then I see this other side of like, I want to make a movie about this because it's trendy and popular right now. And I'm like, cool, but is it good? Is that really the way to go? You know what I mean? So, you know, the biggest thing I can say is, you know, in directing, especially storytelling, any form of storytelling, I don't care if it's a book, a comic book, a movie, writing and all that kind of stuff, and creating something. Best thing I can tell you is, one, definitely pull from what you know, pull from your experiences, pull from the things that make you, pull from the things that shaped who you are. Even if you're throwing it into a fantasy genre or a science fiction genre or whatever, still grounded in reality and relatable and so forth, especially when it comes to things that people are seeing visually. I mean, granted, you can get away with like a comic book or whatever, but you know what I'm tending to see, you're starting to kind of see this, and this weird trend with young writers and filmmakers right now, where because they're jumping onto properties that have already been done, like Star Wars and whatever franchise, Marvel and all this other stuff, they're creating a lot of these stories that have no heart. They have no like nothing to them. You know what I mean? It's like you're just kind of going off the fanfare and the new character or whatever, and you know, Captain America is going to show up in this, or you know, whatever, but they like there's no soul to them, and then they don't really teach anything, or they're doing the opposite. They're being too preachy, and they're going all woke and all this other goofy stuff, and they're just kind of losing a lot. They're losing the message. They're losing what they were trying to get across, whatever it may be, or they're getting too deep sometimes, where it just gets preachy and ridiculous. So I think just pulling from things that are just to truly make you and are truly honest will get you far. And as far as filmmaking goes, can't lie. Well, granted, comedies are not what they used to be. Remember, comedies used to be.
Comedies used to be
a good comedy. It was in like trend. They ain't happening no more. Comedies fell off real bad.
Now that you're saying it, I can't remember the last good comedy.
I'm not a comedian, but I'm writing a comedy. I got some people
Comedy's
that I got
hard,
on
bro.
that I think is funny, you know, but
very hard.
Comedy for me gotta be natural. Like, you know, like not somebody trying to be funny, but something just like naturally that comes
Something that
off
is
funny.
funny. Yeah.
You know, and that is funny, you know, for me is real comedy. And like, you know, back in the day, even when you watch stand up, you knew they was up there to bust jokes, but it was real jokes. Like stuff
Right.
was real life. Like it was funny, it was relatable. Whereas though people would make comedies today and try to be funny. So, you know, I hope and I could have the success as I, you know, draw from experience from the last films, you know, and comedies that we watched before, that we can kind of embody that, you know, within what we're gonna do. But I kind of tend to take from, you know, what you were saying. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of newspaper, like, and I grab stories from these things, you
Mm.
know, and this is a way that helped me cultivate stories that's relatable
Mm.
to, you know, our people and what's going on in the world. You know, it might be a story in a newspaper in a small section that nobody thought of to go to because it's just in that small section of the newspaper that I might just grab one every day, you know, or
That's
Apple might
interesting.
send a notification on my phone, did daily news, and I might just skim it and read it. And I'm like, yo,
Mm.
that'd be a dope story if like they just this. I know it sounds it's like it's sad that this happened, but
Right.
man, that sounds
It's
like
a
a
good
dope
story.
story. What if we did that and then we put a little spin and so filmmaking is stories, you know, migrated with other stories. You
Hmm.
know, it might not be one story in a sense. I might hear, you know, us talk about something on here and be like, oh, that'd be a dope story. And then later on talk to my mom and be like, yeah, that would be a great element to add. And then talk to my cousin and be like, oh, that's dope. Like now I'm forming a story. And like you said, we pull these things from our experiences and
Interesting.
our lives. And I tend to take these from, you know, things that I see on a daily basis. I see a lady walking her dog and be like, man, we had a story of a lady walking her dog in the neighborhood. And, you know, she got adopted, but the dog is just trying to lead everybody to where the body is at. Like,
Hmm.
you know, but nobody understands that the dog belongs to the woman that was adopted,
Right.
you know, and now we got this mystery going on trying to figure this out. It's just simple stuff like that that leads us down the road to where we find stories. So that's the beauty about storytelling.
See, that's extremely interesting because that's what I kind of tell people about having a visual library when it comes to being creative, when it comes to making visual pieces, is drawing from all of the things that you see from nature, from museums, from you know, being out and about. All the things that you see kind of come together, and it's how creativity happens. So hearing that about finding stories kind of in mundane places, or you know, in the news or something like that, and using those stories to tell bigger stories is a really interesting concept. I never really thought of that. So that's really cool. It makes
Yeah.
me think of, you know, just kind of following Florida Man around for a little bit and seeing, you know, all the things Florida Man is doing and just making stories
Right.
off of that.
Yeah, man. I'll add right now to give folks a little part, I guess, of filmmaking, and then we'll jump into a few other things besides filmmaking because we've been on filmmaking for some time now. We're about an hour mark
Real
in.
quick, John, what
What's
you're
up?
doing right now, I don't think it likes it when you go to full screen.
Oh wow, really? It
Yeah.
pauses it?
Yeah, it like blurs out the whole screen, so it doesn't like that for some reason. So yeah, just yeah.
That was a short we did, you know. We did that right at the probably like midway through the pandemic. You know, we had already set production to take, you know, knock this out, and then you know, we had to get COVID tests, and you know, we had to make sure the actors, you know, were cool. We had to make sure they got a COVID test when they came to set, you know, and just to make sure that everybody stayed in the clear. Everybody had to wear their mask, you know, through the whole process. But we was like, hey, we gonna make this and get this done, you know, and just kind of just really create. And I think I just got a new camera, so I was eager to shoot. So
Hmm.
I was like, man, let's go and rock this joint. And you know, the cast did a great job. So you know,
Nice.
we
What
was
you filming on?
Black Magic,
Pocket
cinema,
cinemas.
Which
Yeah.
6K.
one?
Yeah, I think I saw I noticed that that's what you were shooting with. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a 6K and a 4K. I got a 6K Pro on the way. Just checking it out. I think those pocket cameras are super dope. You know, and the images that you could create. And I tell people, man, it's like I could get real cinema quality from these cameras, but it's about the glass. You know,
Hmm.
it's about the lenses, you know, that you choose and why you chose the lens and what type of feel you're trying to get on the film and stuff. You know, so a lot of filmmakers don't know or don't think about that. They just think, oh, I got a red. I see some terrible project shot on red
For
that you be
sure.
like, what? You had a
For
what camera?
sure.
So
That's
it's
I,
funny.
like,
I can't even tell you how many small projects I've shot with little cameras and everything else, and people thought it was a Red or a R. I'm like, nah, I just know what I'm doing.
Somebody I was just listening to was talking about kind of the hierarchy when it comes to what you should get equipment wise, and it's sound first. Sound is probably the most important thing.
Correct.
Then light, making sure that your stuff is lit properly. Then correct. Glass, then correct. Body. Body's like way down the list. Like it's not as important as people make it out to be. You know what I mean? It's that glass is so much more important than the glass and the light.
Let's go back to sound. It sounds so overrated when it comes to filmmakers sometimes. And bro, if your sound sounds horrible, it ruins the whole movie. Absolutely. It makes it not believable. It makes people not want to really watch. Mm-hmm. If you have crappy sound, it takes the whole experience out of the film. Absolutely. So sound is everything. I tell people to invest in sound more than anything else. And I've been on projects where they've invested in me as the cameraman, cinematographer, whatever, more than the sound. And I'm like, bruh, hey, cool. I mean,
I like the monies, but
you might want to hire my mans over here. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. And I've seen them be cheap and cop out every time. And I'll have to cut corners and all this other stuff. And then they're sitting here crying at the end. And I'm like, I told you.
Yeah.
Told you. Like, you know, sound is everything.
It's number one on the list. Like you said, it's number one. Like when we did this film and we shot this, we had somebody that we did do sound. And then once we had to go back and play it back and stuff, I was like, man, we got to do some major cleanup, you know, but we got to make sure on the next project, sound, I'm paying for it. Like, I don't care what we got to do, how much we got to scrape in the budget. We paying for it. And it was not that I didn't know it. It's just like we were shooting a small project. So I was like, hey, this is for fun. Let's go ahead and test out, you know, these cameras. But, you know, on this next project that we just shot, like sound is like superb. Like I'm more impressed with the sound than I am impressed with how I shot it. You know, it's like it's shot well, but it's like, man, the sound is phenomenal. And that's the thing
out here. Here's a good sign. You got a good sound guy, right? You should always have 3 versions of sound. All right. Meaning they usually are miking lapel, they're miking you know, shotgun, so forth, however they're doing that, and they're miking some other form of external so forth, whether it's just like hidden mic somewhere or so forth. If you don't just a trifecta setup of miking, I mean sometimes people do maybe 2 or whatever, but like if you only see in one type of setup, I always do a 3 mic setup because you just stuff goes wrong all the time, especially when it comes to sound. I think stuff messes up with sound more than it does visual.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
I've had that happen a lot.
Gotten so good and sophisticated that like some of them you can just turn them on and you're good to go. Sound.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
and it's the other part. I'm sorry.
No. I was gonna say it's interesting. I've had like when I started out, I was using, you know, just like a little Rode, you know, shotgun mic. And just the difference in quality between that and, you know, taking it straight off your camera, just putting a shotgun mic right above somebody's head, just, you know, having it right there is so it changes the sound quality to such an extent that most people don't even understand how good it is. Like they'll get those shotgun mics and they'll put them right on top of their camera, and it's just not it. It doesn't help. And it's like, man, dude, it's almost the same thing as getting your flash off the camera. Like getting the microphone off of your camera and up close to the person that you're recording is night and day. It's everything. And the wiring as well, like little things like the wiring that you use. Like I used to pick up radio signals on my wire. So it would be like I'd hear radio signals in there, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, oh, it's not shielded. It's not a big enough wire. Like little stuff like that, you just don't know until you start really getting into doing the sound properly. And if you don't have a sound guy or somebody that understands sound, it's gonna mess up your film.
I'll add another snippet with this because I see independent filmmakers make this mistake too. They stop at the sound guy that they hire to do the sound. Meaning that you got a sound guy, however they're recording, and they're recording the sound. And then they finish the sound, the tracks, they get it for you and go, all right, here's your sound. There you go. And off you go. And I'm going, do you have an engineer? Well, what's that?
Right.
Well, me. Why do you? I was like, you need someone to mix and master the sound.
Mix and master, yep.
And they go, what? Yeah.
It's another thing entirely.
Like you always spend the money on the sound. Sound is everything.
Yeah. That's and we just hired this guy from California to do all of our, you know, sound and stuff, as far as like, you know, clean up and, you know, making sure, like you just said, as engineer, and making sure that we get a good mix. You know, like people would just throw music on and then try to duck the audio under the music in a certain way, and it's like it don't match because the music is louder than the audio. It's like I can't even hear them talking because the music is too loud, and then it's just different things that when you get a quality sound engineer, or you know, you pay for that to get done, your film come out a lot better. And that was one thing I was like, I don't want to worry about, so we got the budget for it, so we're gonna pay for it. And you kind of playing in that sense. But I know we moving on to another topic right now.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. I got you.
Sorry, my dog was just. I was like,
no, you good. I wanted to say a big thing for me when in the filmmaking industry is a lot different than back then, because back then it was like one thing. You know, you was a film star, you was a TV star, a movie star, you know, a sitcom star. Like, you know, you had your role, you know, and those people, movie stars primarily got paid more than TV back then. Now TV is getting paid more than movie stars, you know, essentially, because there's no category. So for me, when me and my wife decided to go into the venue business and start, you know, investing in event spaces, you know, where people can have events, I needed something automated that I could make my money. And I give a little play, like, you know, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. A way to lose your money if you want to be smart about it. You know, I invest, when we invest into the event space, when we do films and stuff, I invest that money right into real estate. And then the money I get from real estate, I then invest it right back to a film.
To films.
You know, so when they come back to paying the taxes, I ain't got no taxes to pay. I'm investing my money. You know, so that's a little play for people that's like trying to keep things on the low, or like, oh, I'm trying to save tax wise. How can I do that? You could do that by investing your money and just rotating it. I mean, a lot of people do that now in life. And the biggest thing for me is like, how can I be like big, like we said, financial literacy? How can I be smart and be able to make as much money as I want to make, but then put myself in a position where, you know, I'm able to invest that into something else that's going to bring me money back. Like, I don't want to create another bill. I want to create residual income. And the event spaces has allowed me and my wife to be able to create that income. And for me to be able to step away, like, I love wedding videos, you know, and shooting wedding films is what I call them. But I want to step away from it because I want to be, when you shoot weddings, there's no control of anything. Like, everything is at the pace of whatever the day is going on. If the lighting outside is like super harsh, you know, I got ND filters, but it's like, it's not like a set where you could call cut. Let's change out the ND filter. Let's put this in because we about to go inside. So, you know, with this, we got an ND 6 or 8 because it's super sunny out here. But when we about to go in, it's going to be dark. So my frame going to be dark. I can't put that on the front of the camera because I ain't got time to switch it because I'm going to be with the bride or the groom following after them. So, you know, I'm just at a point in my life where with the venue spaces, it's allowed us to be able to make, you know, excess of, you know, 30-40K a month, you know, where we go and working towards those goals. Like, I'm about to open another space that on the low end could produce me 20K a month, but that's so I could be able to take that step away from other stuff and be able to do other things and invest my money in other stuff, you know. And that's what me and my wife, our primary goal is to do. And she writes stage plays, so she got another stage play coming up in September, you know, that we're supposed to do right before the pandemic, but we had to hold off. So, you know, those things now allow us to get back creatively creating the way we want. And I don't got every Saturday tied down because I got, in a month of April, I got 7 weddings to shoot. It's like, God, like, I wish I could get these to somebody sometime. Like, bro, here go the money. Here you go shoot it. Just send me back the footage, you know, or you want to edit it, I give you the whole thing, man. Like, here you go. It's because I really want to creatively get back in a space that's controlled, where I can really create the control the creativity of what's going on. But it keep you on your toes too, because you learn things in that.
Yeah. As far as your event spaces are concerned, Because I know me and John had talked about, you know, like real estate and spaces and stuff like that. Do you purchase your spaces? Do you rent them? Like, how do you go about your event
I
space?
lease everything.
Lease them?
Yeah, I lease them because when you buy a building, like, you know, it's only about a certain percentage of that building that you can tax wise. You know, my wife, she worked at the IRS for like about 8 years, so she informed me on a lot of stuff tax wise, and then I just learned a lot of stuff tax wise. Robert Kiyosaki, you know, and all those guys, just learning so much through them, you know, and their books and programs and stuff. And tax wise, when you buy a building, you're only able to write off a certain portion of that building for a certain portion of time. But when I lease it, I can write that off every year I lease, like for however long I want to lease. If I got a good standing relationship with the landlord and I'm making money at that spot, he not going to say, "Oh, I don't need you as a tenant no more." If I'm making him a bunch of money, you know.
Right.
So I look at it and say the responsibility of all the liability is not on me. I can get up and say, "All right, I got my clientele. I could go elsewhere and build this brand at a different spot." You know, but we do desire to buy. So our third location we will buy, but that'll be different because we'll have it where we're going to build a movie theater in the inside. Because we used to have International House that was in Philadelphia. You know, now that's gone. You know, and everybody used to go there for their films, and film festivals used to go there. So we building a big theater, you know, where we could sit 300 people in the theater and also do stage productions in that same theater. But then,
nice.
because I'm in an event space venue, a lot of people got to rent a space for the theater, and then they got to go somewhere totally different for an after party. But I'm combining them in one location where I got the event space and that in one location where you just movie premiere, come on out, go right downstairs to the cocktail area. Next thing you know, you got a ballroom that could fit 500 people in there. And we got 2 different rooms like that where if I want to do movie premiere and somebody want to use downstairs, they can. Or if I want to do a wedding and I want both of them going on the same day, I could do that as well. And I could still step away from the business and be making money and being like, you know, somewhere else making a movie and just living the best part of my life. So I think leasing is the best option going into it because you're gonna run into some stuff. I'm glad I didn't buy my first location because it's stuff that like the way it's built is built into the wall, and like the way that the wall is with where it's another house connected to the side of it. They gotta fix that whole thing. And the money that I looked at with the landlord, I was like, I'm glad I didn't. And the stuff the township like that puts you through, and you know, I had to sit in front of a township like a court hearing. Right. For the court hearing and plead my case of why I should be zoned, my event space should be zoned in this area because I'm in a C1 district, but this is only able to be in an MU2 district. I'm like, what? Okay, now I got
that's like I was telling Rob because he was like, I'm just gonna buy a building. I was like, it ain't that easy, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
The fire system can cost you a couple $100,000 right off the bat if that ain't set up right and all this other stuff, you know, and then you know it goes on and on, all the things you need to have. Owning is good if you get it right because you can rent out to whatever, you can lease out to whatever, you can do a lot of different things. And that turnaround can be very profitable, as well as you being able to, you know, refinance and different things, and equity and all that kind of stuff, depending on what type of property and however it goes. So you can make a lot of money. It is a good thing. So I'm not necessarily saying it's completely bad to own something. It's just when it comes into business owning property, it gets complicated. Compared to residential owning. Residential owning is complicated enough. So when you get into business owning of a property, it can get tricky.
Definitely commercial owning is totally different than residential ownership.
So one of the big things I would say with commercial owning, almost everyone partners up. Definitely have partners. Don't do it by yourself because it gets funky. It can get very, very funky. And what you need and everything else and carrying the burden by yourself if you don't really have the money and the know-how, you can put yourself in a bad position.
No, absolutely. I had a friend that, you know, he partnered up in the event space business, and this is where we talk about the finances. So if I say, yo, how much you want to make this year? You know, you say I want to make 120. You know, I want to make 150,000. You know, and if you're going in with partners, like y'all hit 150,000, but y'all splitting that. Like you ain't getting all that, and then after taxes, and then after a bunch of other stuff, like you back down, you like I only made, we hit 150, but I only took home about 55. And you like, hold on, what's going on here? What type of business I get into? You know, so I'm fortunate to be able to deal with my wife, who's my partner. You know, where everything comes in one household. You know, so we able to reap 100% of the profits versus me having to split those profits. And I had a friend that had to buy his partner out of the business because he was like, "Man, I'm not making enough." I'm like, I feel like I'm working a 9 to 5. And I was like, "Listen, bro, you in this joint to make money, and you got to figure this out." And he wound up, getting out of the deal. But that's the thing of, like you were saying, John, when you partner up, a lot of people are partner up, but they understanding what type of property they're getting to be able to get those profits and understanding what I'm
$1 million.
right. Yeah, right.
$1 million.
There you go. So they know they trying to get those numbers, so they know and they understand, and everybody is pretty much on the same page. With residential, you don't really need to do that. You can just be a one-man show, get that done, and be able to close deals, depending on your agent or whoever you're working with. That's part of the deal, helping you. Maybe you got somebody that's listing a property for you, helping you, find those leads and stuff. So that's the really big difference between the two. But I will always, when it comes to commercial, first lease before anything, and just make sure that you can learn the commercial game. Then you might want to start buying, like I want to start buying strips and like side of strip malls, and stuff. I desire to have my own hotel one day, so I do want to get into the hotels because you know how much turnover is in hotels. Like somebody was like Airbnb, or you gotta get a apartment rental. Like I'm for the apartment rental, I love it. But hotels, like every night somebody moving out and somebody else coming in.
Right.
Like the turnover is ridiculous, and it's like, hey, yeah, you got to get it right. You got to, how many bad hotels have we all been to?
Right.
Like we've been to some bad. I've been to some bad hotels. I'm leaving. My wife, she don't play. She hit the door. She walk in. Oh no, we go back to the front and get my money back. So I've been to some terrible joints, but it ain't stop us from going there. You know, so
they stay open, right?
They stay open. So that's why the reason I say that is like I know I will excel in that business because I want everything I do to be great. And some people will like it and some people don't. You can't be the same cup of tea for everybody. But once you find your niche in it, it's like, oh, I could do this. I got 300 rooms and I'm renting this. I could go up on a price. Residential, you can't go up on a price if it's a holiday. They set for the year. You might could go up a little bit on the rent on the next year and have like the number going up by like maybe a few hundred, like probably $100. I've seen some $100, maybe $50, $200 that may go up. But I could switch it up in a hotel on a holiday because it's 4th of July. And everybody flying in, and he got to book me, and I can make access some money on this day that I would normally make on a regular day if I'm just locked into a contract with somebody that's just paying me one rate for 1 year. It's like, man, so not saying there's nothing wrong with that because it's great value in that, but it's a different type of automation of cash flow.
Yeah, you can change your price with the market rate, so that makes sense. That's interesting. That's the same thing with the Airbnb too. You know what I mean? Like when demand is high, you can change your rates.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so getting a little bit back into let's go a little bit more back into the creative stuff and let's ask you some questions and so forth.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel has been kind of the biggest challenge as far as a filmmaker and let's start with visual and just shooting. So, from where you were and how you started and then where you've gotten to as a filmmaker, what's been some of the challenges in creating the visual, that you've been trying to I just did that.
Oh man, it's man, it's tough. I would say film composition, and understanding framing. and lighting, to make your subjects, look more appealing or pop or just get that cinematic feel. A lot of people think and I used to think it was the camera that gave a cinematic feel. And that's why I needed to buy a red or get a Ari or, get this, because that camera, they used that to film and that's what created it. And it was like, no, that wasn't. It was the lighting. It was, they had flags. They had a bunch of different rigging, and they had a over top light that was lighting the talent from over top, and they had this other light on the outside of the window that was beaming in, that they kind of showed. So I think for me, understanding that part with the camera, made me more I guess visually more in tune of how I shoot and why I shoot. I'm just not pointing to shoot this. I'm in love with the process of the composition of the frame, of how it tells the story. Like I was saying in the beginning, it got to take me somewhere. Before I would just shoot and be like, "Oh, this is a great angle," but do it take me to that place? Like, am I placing my audience in the emotion that the character is feeling? And am I completing that job? If it's chaos, am I completing that job? If it's sentimental, like some people just shoot straight on, but they don't understand the benefits of shooting over the shoulder, looking down, which makes somebody look smaller, looking up makes somebody look bigger. Like all of those different type of things, they don't understand that. And the power of the wide shot, the master shot, for me is key, because I used to be one of those guys starting out like all the other filmmakers that, everything is like tight and medium shots, like nothing wide. It's just like tight, medium, and close up. It's like, hold on, no. The beauty of the wide shot really tells the story of what's going on and bringing you into that character's world. So I think those things cinematically has raised my level of, skill and confidence in knowing that. And, again, just the lighting for me, lighting and taking the time to actually light. And I pre-rig all my sets now, and I go in after I pre-rig and I tell the talent to come to the set the week before, and we're shooting stuff that won't probably even make the cut, because we just shooting to get everybody's positioning. I think it's Shane Holber, I think it's saying his name right. He has a Filmmaker Academy. So I paid for the whole thing for the year. I learned so much from him and then so many other dudes. They got the dude Kazi that's on, YouTube. I paid for his coloring course. All these things, take a big portion of what the composition looked like once it's being filmed, and then that raw footage getting broken down, then gets sent to the colorist, then the colorist got to color it and then give the feel to the film and give that life to the film that the filmmaker is looking for. And because I'm in a unique position where I kind of do both of those things for my project, I really understand, and this is what really helped me understand what I fell in love with the camera, how the framing and stuff should be from when I first started to, where I am today.
Nice.
Super interesting.
So yeah, you sum that up. Basically, man,
there's so many other things I can hit on, but man.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, I think what you said at the end of the day, it's once again, and me and Rob have said this more times than we can count. It ain't the cameraman, it's who's behind the camera. It's everything else it takes, and having all the know-how to really create what you're trying to create. You know what I mean? It's everything. It really is, man.
And it's interesting, like the amount of light that people don't understand goes into making a shot for video. So I love light. Light is my thing. Like I do a lot with light when I do photography, but as a photographer, it's usually just lighting the subject in most cases. The amount of stuff that I've seen people do, like I saw this person light this coffee shop, and there was a huge window in the background, and you would think that, just a huge window, put some light on the front of them, and it's going to look great. Well, they were talking about the time of day. The shadow in the background didn't look quite right, so they shot another light in there to get the shadow the way that they wanted it, and then they shot another light in there to light the front of them, and then they had a flag on the side, and then they shot through something else to light the other side of. Like, it was the amount of light and the amount of thought that went into lighting it perfectly, but still making it look natural. Because you look at it and it's like, oh, that's just how the light is there, and it's not. In any sense, it's just not.
I mean, I don't think most really good lighting filmmaking is natural light or light that actually would look realistic. Actually, most realistic light looks boring.
Yeah.
It's really more of a hyper realistic, right? It's creating a bit of a fantasy with whatever you're doing with the lighting and so forth and gaffer work and all that kind of stuff. It's a whole thing.
You creating that world that people want to be in, because naturally I'm looking through the blinds and I just want the light to cut across the top of my eye a certain way and get that look when they turn and look at the camera and it kind of pushing in like that. You can't get that in real time. Like, it's literally impossible. The clouds are moving, the moon is out on this direction. You know, like I can use an app called Sunseeker, so I know where the light and the moon is at what time of day when I'm filming. So I know if I'm shooting like evening shots, all right, the sun is going to be on this side, so we're going to get this much sun from over here. So all of our set and all of our rigging got to be set up over here to begin, you know, because later on we're not going to need those lights that way, you know, because we're going to create that light. But I'm going to need some of this natural sunlight now, and it's just those things that you need to know, where the moon is going to be over here. So I'm going to be getting that natural light coming through the shade, and then we can kind of shape that, you know, and maybe throw in some other ones or some HMIs or whatever that is that we need on set. And those are the things that people don't understand. They're like, oh, that was so perfect. It's like, yeah, that all of this stuff is created to look that way. And it's very convincing, but we got to also make it look natural, because we don't want it to look, you know, fake, you know. So all the light, like you said, light is a big thing, you know, to when it comes to filmmaking. I don't think anybody that make a film, if they're making them without lights, they doing something wrong.
Yeah, let's go back. John Harville says, that's the one reason I hate video. I can't afford all the lighting for how I want the light in the scene. Yeah, I would say though, John, it's changing a lot now. Lighting equipment is dumb expensive.
Yeah,
it used to be all RE tungsten lights and all this other stuff and so forth, but it has changed.
Kino flows and all that.
Yeah, but it's changed drastically now. Yeah, I mean, even to the point that, like, even when the battery operated stuff started getting it really popular with the aperture lights and stuff like that, and even they were expensive, still hitting around a couple $1,000s and so forth. Even that has gone down now.
Yeah.
You got competitors like Nanlite and even Aperture making a cheaper version and so forth. You know, all those lights working very, very well.
NBG.
There's a lot of them. GVM.
That's NBG. Yep.
Yeah. So I would say yes and no. It's still a little expensive, but honestly, film constant lights, tungsten panel, whatever, has really gotten very much around the same as photography.
It's affordable. I mean, to get a good good 300 watt thing is about as much as you'll pay for a 600 watt strobe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's about the same.
To give you an example, I just bought a whole new Nanlite package. I got 1 300, 2 150s, and a set of pack tube lights, and I paid in total like $3,000.
Yeah, that's dope.
Compared to
people don't know what that used to be like before. You know? Right.
15, 20 grand like worth of light.
Yeah, so I would say it's a lot better now than it used to be. So if it's something you're interested in getting into, bro, you know, if you're comfortable with spending what you would spend on strobe lights, you can get just what you need to shoot for.
Now, what you're talking about here, I was gonna say he brought up like the scrims as well, some of the modifiers and stuff like that. Like a lot of times, I mean, a 20-foot scrim is huge. That's big time movie set type of stuff.
You don't need all that. That's huge. Not for a small project or anything. Unless you do some Hollywood shit, like,
But an 8x8 scrim, you know what I mean? Like you can get that. You can use a bed sheet, you know what I mean, for a lot of that stuff.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. There's so many little hacks.
You can just get like the same photography reflectors that you use, right? You know, the big circle ones, you just fold up and all that. You can get a bunch of them, just unzip them and take the reflector off. That right there is all you need. You know what I mean? Take
I got like 10 of them.
Put them together.
I never thought about sticking them together. That's a good. That's a good tip right there.
Yeah, like there's so many ways now, and even like the smaller scrims and cheaper ones you find on like Amazon and stuff. You can get one that's like 10 feet for like a couple $100.
Yeah, you don't need to get the Westcott joint.
Yeah, so it's changed drastically, bro. Trust me, a couple years ago, I'd be sitting here going, "It's ridiculous, man."
But
it's gotten way better now. Just in literally the last 2 years, even during the pandemic.
We
brought out new stuff. That's it's so much better now,
and it's only going to get better over time. It's going to get better.
It is, especially with cameras trending down. You know, as far as the price and what people can afford. You know, with that, it's going to make those other things come down to make those things a lot affordable. But I'll also say to somebody that feel like if you feel like those things are expensive, because they can get expensive. If you are doing video, you gotta assess where you are with where you doing video, and what type of price packaging are you offering your clients, and do you feel like, hey, my worth and my value is starting to go up, and I may need to charge a little bit more money for the work that I'm doing, so I could afford some of the other equipment that I want to do and buy, because we all got to scale. And as times I couldn't afford stuff because I wasn't scaling the business, and this is where it trickles down to what we was talking about business. And when I started to scale the business and make the money, then it became not a problem to buy it and like, oh, I can afford that. It ain't nothing, and it become a lot easier where I could go spend, $2,000 today, tomorrow, and feel like I just spend $10. And it's like, it is different because I scaled my business for me to be able to produce at that level, so maybe you should look at that and say, hey, maybe I need to scale my video business. What am I doing and where am I producing at? Where do I see where I could raise my prices to then start affording the things that I need? And then you'll just continue to keep that trend, and that'll allow you to be able to, buy more and more and more equipment.
Okay, I know where John's at with this. He's going in. So John lives out in California. He lives out literally towards
in the desert. Yeah, he's in the desert.
Okay, the California desert, and he's like, I want to the whole desert up. I got you, bro.
Okay, got you.
Okay, there's a couple ways to do it for cheap now, believe it or not. So who was it that bought out that ginormous 1,200, and then they brought another one out that was 1,500. They bought a couple big lights out, big giant spotlights. I think it was Aperture.
I think it is Aperture.
Yeah, Aperture just brought out a big boy. Yeah,
they got a couple big boys. They are expensive, but I think they bought out one that was a little bit cheaper. I can't remember. It comes with a giant battery pack with it or something. I think it was like 2,500 or something like that. They're getting cheaper, John. They really are, because even Aperture, the normal lights that everyone's used to, which is the big red one and 2 yellow ones, and so forth, 150, 300, whatever, so forth. They were $1,200-1,500 a pop, and so forth. Some were they were $2,300 when they came out. Then they dropped down. Then they just brought out a newer version that's smaller and more compact, but they have the same kind of power, but they're cheaper because other companies are competing and bringing out stuff. Now I keep mentioning Nanlite because I swear by Nanlite.
Yeah.
Because they're so much more cheaper and producing the same amount of quality. So I would say keep looking around. I guarantee you in probably 2 more years, there's going to be a couple ginormous spotlights that come out.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Yep. You'll be able to get them for under 2,000 or something like that. Something silly. Yeah.
So I definitely know. See, John's our film guy here. Hold on. I'd rather shoot analog film. I don't like digital anymore.
Man,
I feel you, brother.
His film stuff is top notch, man.
Film is expensive.
Yeah.
So let me break down film to y'all, because I've shot film, Panavision for movies and stuff like that and so forth. This is how it go. All right. One spool of film for, let's say, Super 35, right? Is about $5,000.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Cool, I'm dead serious.
What?
For one spool of film for a Super 35 millimeter, Panavision camera, RE camera, and so forth, It's about $5,000, 5-10 grand.
Wow.
And as soon as you hit that button and you hear it, it's going. You can't get it back.
Oh my gosh.
Film is expensive, bro.
Yeah.
For major motion pictures and big film, and then let alone now, like
now that they're not using it anymore, I'm sure it's even more.
IMAX and 65 millimeter.
I was about to say IMAX.
Stuff like dumb. I mean, IMAX has switched to digital a lot now too, but like when they were doing some of the film stuff in IMAX, and like the film cartridges, like the film strip this thick across the whole canister, big as hell. It was like 10-20 grand.
That's insane.
So you're spending about for the regular Super 3, you're spending about $1,000 a foot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, how many frames? How many frames per foot?
Processing it and everything else, huh?
How many frames? How many frames per reel or like per foot?
24 frames.
24. I mean, it's 24 frames. Like
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, how many frames are on the reel? Foot? Yeah.
It can depend a little bit. It depends on what type of film. You know, if it's Fuji, if it's whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like shooting in film is dumb expensive. It has its benefits.
Right.
I love shooting celluloid if you know what you're doing and you do it right. The great thing about celluloid is you don't gotta do nothing else.
Right.
It looks exactly how you want it to look. It looks like a film. You know what I mean? Where you shooting digital, you gotta shoot this goofy flat thing.
Right. And go fix it later.
Yeah.
Film celluloid, it looks like celluloid. It's already shooting in CYMK format. It's got that cyan magenta look, and it just looks like film. And then different films have different looks to them.
Right.
That and like so film's film. As much as film is dying, I don't think film will ever completely go away.
No,
the celluloid. And look of it that you just
it's like it's dying but resurging at the same time, especially in photography. Like there's so many people that are shooting film now in photography that like John, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people are going back to it just to, and people are paying for it. They want their wedding shot in film and stuff like that.
No, you're totally right.
Yeah, so Johnny even said like there are some movies coming out in film. Yeah, there's tons of movies that are still shot in film. Quentin Tarantino, all his stuff, Super 35.
He would.
I think one of the last movies I saw that besides Quentin Tarantino that was shot in film.
Was Dunkirk shot in film?
Say again.
Was Dunkirk shot in film with Roger Deakins?
Nah, it was
okay.
Well, Dunkirk's Christopher Nolan, and it was shot
I think did Roger Deakins DP that, or was it just Christopher Nolan on that?
No, I think
he directed, but Roger Deakins was DP.
It was digital.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think one of the last ones. Let's see. So one of the last ones I saw that was filmed, and they shot on a very old Fuji style film. I think they used Fuji or used Kodak. I can't remember. Shoot, I forget the name of it. It stars Twilight Girl. What's her name?
Oh man!
Oh, you're talking about what's her name?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
The dead face.
Man. Yeah.
He's actually become alright. Is she played Princess Diana? It's a new film. It came out not too long ago.
Okay.
Whether you're into any of that type of stuff or so forth, the movie, it's a little bit of taste if you're into it, but it is shot gorgeous. And it's all shot in film. They use an old style like Fuji or Kodak style film, and they shot it with I think they shot it with the older Canon style film cameras, which like they don't even really use anymore, and it just has to it.
Just
it has that almost like 80s kind of like faded, like almost over exaggerated, but not really. Kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That pastel kind of look to it. Looks gorgeous. I watched the whole film just because of the way it was shot. I was like, she was like, this is boring. I was like, you don't understand.
But it's great.
Right.
That's what I like so much about WandaVision when they were shooting stuff like over time, like they changed the filming style over time throughout the show WandaVision. That was really dope. I love the way they did that.
Yeah, a lot of that was like the cuts and stuff, and like how TV shows cut their stuff differently. So you kind of had the really sporadic in the '90s Malcolm look. And then you had to zoom in from the rest of development, kind of like the 2000s and stuff.
Yeah,
I did enjoy that. I'm trying to think like what other films were like.
I wouldn't have been surprised if they did Stranger Things on film. I know they didn't, but that'd have been that would not have surprised me.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I'm trying to think of like another really good film. Probably one of my favorite film ones I've seen in the last couple of years. They used you can tell I'm a geek with all this. They used an old Kodak style of shooting. I think they used the old Kodak like Gold 20s. It was that tank movie with Shia LaBeouf and Brad Pitt, and what was the name of that movie? The dude from Punisher was in it. It had a really awesome. I can't remember. If you ever get a chance, go back and watch that film. Like it's all shot in this Kodak style. They didn't do anything extra to it, and it just looks gorgeous. And it has a really grainy look to it, but it still fits and like cool. Love that look. Yeah,
that's one of those interesting things too. Is like you would think that those old expensive cameras would have been great in low light, and they're really not. They just have a certain look. Like there's it's real grainy and real bad in low light, but they just still look amazing.
Yeah. I mean, film grain looks so different than digital. Digital grain is like it's just not pleasing to the eye. Where you could shoot terribly in film, have it completely grainy, and it still kind of looks cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a natural thing that celluloid produces, man. So I always tell people experiment with film if you can, man. You know,
absolutely.
I want to. I have a friend who has a bunch of film cameras. I need to try it.
College that they still were using film, and we got to cut film and play with it, and really get to learn how film works and all that.
Yeah.
And then after that, everybody got rid of it, and it was just digital.
I need to try it. I really do.
Yeah, I actually tried out not too long ago Panavision's new digital camera. That was interesting. It's the same body as the Ari, but the sensor and the lens sensor that they put in it is a Panavision style, so it just has a little bit of a different look. And then when you slap a really good on, especially a Panavision lens, it's like.
Mark, I know you had mentioned that you use the pocket cinemas. What lenses do you use? Do you just use regular Canon photo lenses, or do you use cinema lenses?
So I used to. I had a set of Rokinon lenses that was used on them, so they were really good. Now
which Rokinons? Is the regular cinemas or the zines?
The cinemas. I am getting the zines. So the zines is the next on the list that I'll have probably in the next month or so. They actually came out with a new zine. That thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, the art series or whatever.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
I'm not mad at Rokinon, dude. I'm not like
I'm not.
Like Rokinon, I'm like, they're usually too soft. They usually got like a really out of focus point with them and stuff like that. But in the last couple of years, they made a lot of improvement. Their autofocuses are amazing.
Yeah,
with how good their autofocuses
are. Can you
expecting for their primes?
Does the pocket cinema have autofocus or no?
It does.
It does.
It's not as good as like Sony. It doesn't have like the eye sensor where it's going to track your eye and all that.
Interesting.
Stuff, but it's pretty decent.
Okay.
I'm a Sony guy.
Yes, he is.
I'm not the biggest fan of Black Magics, to be honest with you. Just because and like my assistants use them. I use them for a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and stuff. But they have their limitations. Black Magic has always had their limitations. Their biggest limitations has always been low light. They stink in low light. They just don't hold up as well as like the Sonys do, and even the Canon.
What you think about that? Well, I think Sony gonna always have everybody beat. You know, when it comes to that. When it comes to that low light thing,
as far as the consumer cameras,
like
that. I definitely would say, but Canon's catching up. Canon, I've been dumbfounded with a lot of stuff that Canon's brought out in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
they're holding up. Their eye sensor tracking systems are just as good. The reason I stayed with Sony, and especially into the FX series of the FX6, the FX9, FX3, and all that stuff. One was because Netflix and a lot of companies put it as a standard that you can use.
Yeah.
Where the Black Magics and stuff, they didn't hold up as much. they let them go for like some documentary series and things like that. But the Sony's,
well, they in the mix now. I think
the Ari Mini 12. Well, I'm sorry,
yeah,
the K1 and the 8K1.
yeah,
are starting to
they in the mix now
a little bit, but they're a crop sensor. So the
yeah.
problem is when you start using them on bigger cinema lenses, like some of the Cooks and other stuff, they tend to get a little funky. Especially anything anamorphic, then they get really weird.
Right.
But you know, they're making improvements. I'm very interested to see what Blackmagic's getting ready to do with the next one. They're bringing an 8.
Yeah, it's
going to be a box. It's going to be more. They realize they need the change to fit the standard. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think they're going to make some definitely good improvement. Everything Blackmagic's been doing, like from when they first started off and it was kind of laughable to where they're at now, is leaps and bounds of how fast they have caught up and honestly passed people. They passed Panasonic.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, Sony, I just really like, you know, it's always full frame, it's always big, it's always, you know, low light. You can just slap on whatever. But especially because what I shoot a lot, so I do a lot of fitness and sports and athletic type stuff. I shoot a lot of clubs and so all that kind of stuff. So because of those types of things, it's real run and gun. You know what I mean? Same as it would be for like a wedding and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I have a little bit more time to prep because I'm making a commercial per se. But, you know, we still got to move in a certain amount of speed. So I like having an option to where I can just slap on whatever. If I'm slapping on a gimbal, I guess whatever. I don't got to worry about tracking. I don't got to worry about, you know, focus because that eye sensor is laser sharp.
Yeah.
It don't matter what that person does, that sharpness ain't moving. It ain't it. And if it's hunting, the hunt is like a second, especially with the FX. And it's just like just good, and it's never going to lose focus. So for like smaller projects in a running gun, it works really, really well. And then when you start slapping cinemas on it, because it's such a big full frame sensor, it does the thing, man. It does the thing.
But I know they added with the Blackmagic, the second, I think the 6K, they had a Super 35 sensor with it when they did that. And so I did get that one I am able to shoot full frame. The thing about it is when, like, I'm a manual guy, so I like everything manual. I like to have full control, you know, of my focus, where the focus is going, and also having a person when I'm on set sometimes pulling focus for me. Nice. You know, it allows me to.
Until you try that auto, until you try that eye.
No, I've tried auto.
No, I'm not saying auto. It's the eye tracking system. That's is so spot on. Trust me, I never use auto.
I'm a check.
Never relied on auto until I really started using the FX60, FX3. The FX9 for some reason they cut a corner on, which is weird because they're bigger. But they're just spot on. John Harville say you need a Sony Venice. So the Venice is a whole nother system. I have the FX9. The Venice is their cinema camera. So the Venice they're using for major motion pictures now. It's they designed it with Ari. So it has the same specs as Ari, but then it also has some tracking systems and stuff in it that makes it Sony and actually a little bit sharper than Ari. They just use the Venice on. It's being used on the new Avatar that's being made now.
Nice.
The new Top Gun, all the new Top Gun shot with the Venice. They especially use the Venice because Venice has this new like separate lens system. So basically, because the Venice is big, it's a big body. It's like a little bit bigger than Ari actually.
It's a shoulder.
Is it set like the old? Okay.
It's a big gray box. But they made it where they have an attachment system now. This is like a little small rectangle thing that you can slap the lens on, and then it runs a cord to whatever to the box system and whatever. But the cord's long as heck. So they were able to set up a bunch of the little ones in that kind of circular system around the jet cockpit. I'm not saying it right. For Tom Cruise when they were in the jets, and that's how they got those realistic scenes that you're seeing in Top Gun. He's actually flying the jet. They did like a 3 system where they had 1, 2, and then 3 on top. So they set the box on top and 3 of those extensions around. That allowed them to get that kind of full view of him in the cockpit that they couldn't really do with any of the cameras.
That's interesting.
So Yeah, so I mean, Sony's doing some interesting. I'm always gonna.
Sony guy.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
He been a Sony guy for as long as I know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
I don't hate on it.
No, I like Sony. I'm so used to like DaVinci Resolve and working with DaVinci. You know, even like the color panel board. You know, all that stuff. I got all those. For me the workflow. Yeah.
Nice.
The workflow for me is just so much different. You know, from other cameras that I've used. And went in to edit, even with the B-roll files, what I've used, it's just like those files are so much smaller than the other files on these other cinema cameras that
that's the one thing
easier to process.
With Blackmagic, don't mean to cut you off. Like I do like Blackmagic. Since my interns and stuff have been using more behind the scenes with me, I do like that. I do like there's systems in which you can switch. You can switch to everything. They have everything. Switch to ProRes, you can switch to Blackmagic Cinema, you can switch to a whole bunch of different things. A lot of the other cameras don't do that. Sony doesn't do that. You know, you got to use an external like Atomos to get some of that. So I will say that, like, I do like a lot of things that Blackmagic is doing. They just got to get over.
I know. If they could get that low light for me, if they
could
really capture that low light,
a little bit more cameras,
right.
I'll switch over.
Yeah.
I really do want to. I want to learn. I want to learn DaVinci.
Doing, man. I'm very
DaVinci is.
I've been eyeballing it for a while. Yeah.
Oh, DaVinci's the truth. I've been using DaVinci before it was an editing system.
Right. Yep. Same.
Yeah. I've not touched it. Like I have it on my computer. I haven't opened it. In fact, I think when I do this week, when I do clips this week, I think I'm going to try and do them in DaVinci just to start getting the hang of it.
Yeah. So DaVinci, there used to be another program called, what was it called? Film Magician something, which was like the standard for years. And how this was back like when Final Cut 7 was real popular. Right. It became like the standard in Hollywood. Is what they like. What they color graded like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Like so that was a standard for a long time. And then out of nowhere, DaVinci Resolve came out. And I think DaVinci was separate from Blackmagic back then. It was like his own thing. And so that came out, that became a standard, but it was just a color grading system. It wasn't editing.
It wasn't editor.
You know what it was now. And it was kind of difficult to use. You had to have certain specs like a mother in your computer and everything else just to run it. But if you had it all, it still worked off of nodes, and it's the same system of what you see today. And then eventually they moved forward and they turned it into an editing software, and they worked out whatever bugs so computers can run it better. And
I've like from what I've seen, like it does just about everything that Premiere and After Effects and everything like that together can do, even with Audition in there. Like it's a really good sound editor now. Like it's supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah, it runs off of nodes, which which almost everybody's very confused on.
Until you do it.
Because I used to use Nuke back in the day, which is like which is like it's like a predate to like After Effects. So I was very comfortable with it, but most people are like, what is nodes? Spiders? I gotta connect this. And like, what happened to just layers? And it takes to get used to.
So I'm getting used to nodes because I'm using the 3D software Blender, and Blender works off of nodes. So I'm starting to, but I've been, like I said, I've been really interested in learning it. I think I'm going to make the switch here eventually and just start using Resolve.
And the reason why I really made the switch, when I first started out, I was a Final Cut guy, so I was Final Cut all day. That's how I learned. I would have to then like get different plugins like Color Finale and all that, just to have like good color grading stuff to go off coloring. And then when I started using DaVinci, I was still using Final Cut because I wasn't, I was just using DaVinci for coloring. So I would have to export it from Final Cut in a format, that could accept it in DaVinci, then bring it in, color grade it. And if I needed to do something else, I bring it back over, or I'll just export it from there. And I just got tired of that process. I was like, yo, what? I know it's got to be something different.
Hey, I still use Final Cut. All my smaller projects, I love Final Cut because you can just dump everything in and throw it on top and off you go.
You know what? I used to do it like that, and I would have both of them. But I just was like, man, whenever I'm grading, I'm just like, I want all my projects to, I always try to do, even on my smaller projects, try to be, make it better than my last. Even if it's a big project I did on my last, I'm trying to make sure it's better than that. So it's like, I need all of the tools in DaVinci to
Mm,
be able to capture what I need to do in order to do that. So it's like DaVinci for me is like it's a standard. If it's small, big, whatever it is, it
mm,
got to be the standard because I want to continue to grow in this program, but also I want to make sure that I'm putting out that caliber of work. But you can still do it with Final Cut, like put out that caliber of work. It just really depends. But I got tired of paying for Premiere, all the time. I was like, listen, I got to dump this. I do still use
Here I got tired of it.
yeah. Photoshop I still use, and
yeah.
stuff, and Lighting those things I still use. So I still pay for the cloud, just for those things. Sometime I may go into After Effects because Fusion for me, is I'm still getting used to all the stuff in Fusion, and they still doing updates to Fusion to make Fusion more efficient for like graphic design and effects and stuff like that. So when that gets a little bit better, then I'll really be using that for the way I need to. But right now, I think After Effects just really got the edge on that because they just been doing it for so many years.
Mhm. Yeah, but Fusion is good. Like it's not
It
like it's
is.
bad. It's
Yeah,
it can do most of what After Effects can do. It's just After Effects
absolutely.
is
It's
just a
just
little bit.
different.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I have never really messed with Fusion, but I've seen other people that have. I have a lot of people that swear by it. So
Yeah, it's like so many like if you get used to the After Effects workflow, like it's
mhm.
different ways you parent stuff to the nodes in Fusion that's different from when you do on like Fusion is node based like how the color system is for DaVinci. So everything
Mhm.
is node based where in After Effects everything is like stacked in layers.
Right.
So you see in this and then you're able to, do all your controls and parent this and you just gotta hit the swig button to like that's different in Fusion. Like it's nothing like that. So I
Interesting.
think for me, it was just learning a whole new process of how to do something. Is like in Fusion, it's getting better. It's gotten better now, but before it was like what I could do in After Effects in one step, I got to do 4 steps in Fusion in order to
Mhm.
accomplish what I could do in one step over here. So it was just those things early on for me where I wasn't so convinced in it, but now they've made leaps and bounds. So now I'm kind of dabbling in that program. That way I can kind of leave like After Effects, behind and fully be everyday integrated inside of DaVinci Resolve, and I don't have to convert to another platform.
Facts. That's what's up.
You said I
gotcha.
still have DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, 14 keyboard. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, them things work.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I'm very interested in that in the DaVinci color panel too. Like that panel
Oh
um
man.
type of
Once you get
workflow.
used, DaVinci's just way more accurate.
Yeah.
Well, once you get used to it, you really don't really want to mess with anything else, especially for anything professional.
Yeah.
Like I know how to get away with it with Logic just because I'm just really, really good at color grading.
Mm,
Right.
For so long. I mean, not Logic, Final Cut or
right.
even Premiere or whatever. But if just super accurate, you really want to do it right, so forth. DaVinci's a standard. DaVinci's a standard for
For a
every.
reason.
It's a standard
Yeah.
for everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you get those panels? Like I used to use the Magic Pad, for Apple, and like my joints was accurate on point. But when I got that, it's
Hmm.
like bro, like it's so much creative control of how much you could dial in. Like, cause sometimes with the DaVinci, depending on it's so many different things. Like you could be in DaVinci, YG, the color space management, or you could be in ACES CC, ACES CCT.
Hmm.
It's different ones that you can use, and each platform, has a different feel, and how they produce color. So that's my biggest thing for me is like what color space will I be operating in, and all of those tools operate differently for how you get your what you're trying to produce the color for your image.
Right. No, that's interesting. And what he just said, Harville just said, is DaVinci Resolve is like Capture One, but for video, and that's interesting because That's another switch that I've been thinking about is try and capture one over Lightroom because it's better for color.
It is.
And yeah, I've never heard anybody say anything otherwise. Like they've tried, they've moved to Capture One and they're like, it's just better.
I just like Capture One, especially because like I used to use Nikon cameras, and just it was always finicky with tethering.
Yeah. Especially. Yeah, Lightroom is, man, I really would. I haven't tethered in a while.
Never have a problem with Capture One.
But I've heard that's like the biggest thing. Like Capture One's tethering is just light years ahead of Lightroom.
For sure.
I haven't tried it in a while. I haven't tethered. I actually just built a tethering station in the studio, so I'm going to start using it again. But I haven't done it in a while, so we'll see if it's gotten better over these last updates over the last couple of years.
But Mark, we're going to kind of go off of this, and I'm going to ask you a couple more simple questions.
Yeah,
fun stuff. And we'll get out of here. So real quick. Well, hold on before it's like, where's wifey? I thought we were bringing wifey in.
She said, "I got this one tonight." But you got it, babe. I asked her. She was like, "You got it, babe. It's all good." She's holding the kids down for me right now. So
I got you. All right. So if you could give us give us three of your favorite movies and influenced you to want to be a filmmaker.
Cool, man. Let me see. Crooklyn.
Brooklyn.
It's one of them. Throwback. Classic.
Yeah.
Mad for that one.
I love Spike Lee's camera work is crazy.
Yeah. Spike Lee is dope. Another one, I would say, not my favorite movie, but shot-wise, Panic Room. It was shot by David Fincher. I love his style of shooting. His style of shooting is super phenomenal, and like the process he takes to approaching film, you know, and a lot of his stuff he liked to do in camera. I mean, granted he liked to do 1,000 takes, you know, but I understand why, and it comes out super dope. And I'll say third.
Can't forget Jared Leto and Corn Rules.
yeah, right. Yo, you so right. Third, man, that's a hard one. I got so many movies I like and like I really love.
Have a great evening, John.
I'm gonna have to come back on the third one, man. You have to revisit me. I gotta think about that one. You gotta revisit me on that third one. Let me get some thought. I got some great movies running through my mind.
How about you, Robert? You got three?
Three movies that I would say, like, film wise, and again, I'm more of a animation guy because that's my influence. So I would definitely. Well, actually, I would say Iron Man. As far as the motion graphics and things like that, that's one of my the Iron Man 2 in particular. What they were doing with what they were doing with Jarvis and the computers, the HUD display and stuff like that. Absolutely love that stuff. Also, what's the name of that movie? Tom Cruise. With the time. Oh my goodness, what's the name of that movie?
The Steven Spielberg joint.
Yeah, it's in the future. He's a police officer that. Oh god. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah,
I know
that movie.
Yeah, I'm with
you. I always go to Cowboy Bebop. Like as far as
I hope not the Netflix series.
No, not the Netflix. I'm talking about the anime.
That was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't even see the Netflix series, and I refuse. I refuse. I'm not watching that. But yeah, the Cowboy Bebop is one of my favorite. You know, camera work wise. As far as what they were doing, the way that they got the feel with the audio, just a lot of the silence, the way that they use silence in a lot of the shots was just amazing to me. Like you'd see like something like in a city, and you'd see like a plane, you know, kind of passing overhead just to kind of set the feel, but there'd be no sound, no music, no nothing. It's just that shot, and it just set the tone of everything, or it'd be like people shooting through people's legs in the city. It's I don't know. It's something about the way that camera Cowboy Bebop was shot it's phenomenal to me.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop will always have just a cult following. Like,
oh my gosh,
it's still not one of my favorite anime because I've never been into episodic TV shows ever. Like I don't like shows that they have to be linear, or I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like if it's just one episode has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
like that. I don't know why.
Oh yeah. I can't.
Unless it's like Law and Order, I can get into it. It's like Law.
Right.
Because each one's a completely self-contained story.
And like Cowboy Bebop's like that. It's like it's a little bit of a linear story, but most of it's episodic.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
Never get into it because of that.
But yeah, just film-wise, Cowboy Bebop and and the Studio Ghibli stuff, it's always going to be real high rank for me. And I'm trying to think what else.
Movie, Robert.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what like movie-wise made me want it, because I'm so for me, like filming has never been about filming like movies, telling stories. That's not my thing. I like making stuff look cool. So when things look interesting, that's what I like. So also another one is Avatar. Avatar, really set a standard for me. Really? Like as far as the what they were doing, animation wise, the world building, all the stuff that they did in that movie, the Avatar. Now, I'm not talking about The Last Airbender. I'm talking about Avatar. Now, I'm not talking about the anime either. I'm talking about Avatar, Blue People, Avatar.
Right. I'm with you.
That's
Do you think the next one will be as big?
As big? I think that it'll be as big. I think it's gonna be as epic, but I don't know if it's gonna be as interesting or as popular. Yeah, no, not at all. Because it's kind of like the Matrix. They did pretty much everything that it's. Where do you go from what they did in the first one?
I've heard and seen some interesting things, like what they're doing underwater. Creating the underwater look and all this other stuff looks pretty revolutionary to me. Like I was like, I've never seen like they had them where like they're half in water, half in like styrofoam or something, and the styrofoam is being tracked. So then they can track every particle of water, so it looks real to how their hair flow, all this craziness.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very interesting stuff I'm seeing.
Huh.
So, I think I'm in. Lord knows they've been working on it long enough.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
What's it been like?
You can't never count James Cameron out.
No,
I'm sorry. James Cameron will always be one of my favorite filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Just creates creativity times 100. Dude, if you ever get a chance, watch a documentary on how he made Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. And it was his second film. It was only his second film that he ever made. It's insane.
I watched I actually paid for the masterclass series. I think it's like 200 for the year. Yeah. James Cameron is on there. When I say learned a wealth of knowledge from him, like his masterclass is mind blowing.
Interesting.
Like mind blowing. So I have to check it out.
I do it because I'm like James Cameron. Every movie he comes out just changes everything.
Yeah. I want to listen
to everything, bro. I could imagine.
I want to hear Zimmerman's.
So I will say I have high hopes for Avatar.
Me too. The only
reason I think it won't do what it did before was because one of the main things that made Avatar so big that for some reason everybody keeps forgetting, Avatar brought back 3D.
Yeah.
Right.
3D was
3D was crazy. Non-existent, and then what we know of 3D now wasn't until Avatar.
Yep.
And that's why everybody ran to see it, because it was this kind of attraction.
And it sold 3D TVs for a good 5 years afterwards.
Exactly. So because I don't think he's going to revolutionize something like that again, I don't think it's going to do as well as, and it's just late as all hell at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to do as well as it did before, but I'm still going to go see it.
Well, only reason because I feel like the build up that they've been having, because they've been filming it so long, I will hope that that it will be as epic as the first one. I mean, let's look at Spider-Man, right?
I just don't think James Cameron was prepared for Marvel. Marvel's on another level, dog. Not so
but,
much of like technical or anything, but
no, the way they told that story.
It's fans, man. Like,
Right.
bro, I've never been in a movie theater and the entire movie theater is screaming.
Right.
And just, like, where have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
never
that's true.
I've been claps and and whatever, never to the level of like Avengers.
Captain America catching that hammer,
the last Spider-Man,
right.
and all people were going nuts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you know, so I don't think he's going to be able to compete with.
He doesn't have the characters are not that. You know what I mean? Those Avatar characters, people don't love the Avatar characters the same way they love, you know, Marvel characters. Like there's no connection. I don't have any connection to the Na'vi. Like it looked pretty. That's about it. I don't care about their story.
Right.
But I think it would.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be good.
But that's why I think that's the challenge in filmmaking that you love when, you know, you're trying to tell the story again, you know, that it's going to captivate the audience into something new that they've never seen before. And just because I think from the first Avatar, we were introduced into a new world of something we never seen before, what makes me have high hopes for that we'll dive a little bit more deeper into this world that we had not seen just yet, because we're just like on the cuffs of what that really looked like.
Dances with wolves in space.
Well, that's basically what it is.
You can't count James Cameron out. That's a fact. No. All right, so my three, I'll say, and this is funny. This one, for certain, made me want to be a filmmaker. It was like, oh, that's it. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I don't know how. I don't know how it's gonna go. This is what I'm doing. Never forget, I was in a movie theater, left the movie theater, and literally told my friend, yeah, I'm going to be a director, bro. It was The Matrix.
The Matrix?
The last one. But
yeah,
The Matrix, because like The Matrix was the first film that was like, God, it was really like, I was mad more than anything. I was like, they did everything I wanted, as far as like, you know, being an anime fan, being a comic book fan, being, you know, all this stuff that you kind of loved as a kid and was into on this like underground scene and whatever, and blah, 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 blah. The Matrix brought it all to life. And it was like, God damn it, like they did it. And I just remember seeing it. I was like, from the whole cyberpunk thing to just everything. Anime, like it captured everything of that like 80s to 90s kid that hung out in the comic book store and whatever before superhero films and all that kind of came into play. It was like, they did it. You know what I mean? So The Matrix was definitely one for me. Another I'd probably say that really made me want to be a filmmaker. It's kind of hard or anything. Probably I had to put it in there. I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan. I'm a ridiculous Ridley Scott fan. Because he came from Hard Knocks of like commercials and all that. And his movies, I always feel like you can feel the environment. It feels like you're in the environment. You can smell the pollen. You know what I mean? Gladiator.
Gladiator, man. That's
it's one of the most rewatchable movies.
That's a good movie.
It's boring, you can watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never can just go like, you can watch it. Like,
yeah. Gladiator's up there like it's like with Braveheart. It's one of those type of movies that you can watch over and over again.
Yeah, Mel Gibson's another one for sure. Yep. And I would say well, it really is so many movies.
It's hard to get that third one.
It really is, man. You're trying to top it, like, man. I'm just gonna say the movie that like I've watched more times than I think any other movie on earth. I literally went to the movies and saw it like 13 times or something.
Oh, geez.
Jurassic Park.
Really? Nice.
And the reason being, think about it. When Jurassic Park came out, you didn't see. We lost Ariel. You didn't see CGI like that just yet.
No.
Like a lot of people thought they were real when you first saw that movie. Then like that back in the day, that was like when the first digital THX whatever, George Lucas sound came out, and they had it like extra blasting. So like crazy years, like It's like it was a ride. Like watching Jurassic Park was a ride.
Yeah, it was.
And like and it was just that one boring summer. I was like freaking like 12 or 13 or whatever. And we just, in the movie theater, they built like this brand new Cinemaplex near where I live. So we just went like every day. What you gonna do? What do you want to do? Let's go see Jurassic Park. Like, all right.
There ain't nothing else to do. Going.
And it just became this weird ride we kept doing. And it's funny. I don't even think I can watch it anymore now. I was like, I've seen it too many times. I know every word to it. But
it's funny.
Yeah, the next one gonna look really good, man.
Over and over and over again.
The next one?
Huh?
Yeah, the next one.
The next one looks crazy. It looks goofy and fun, but it looks fun.
Yeah.
So, which I think.
Yeah, I'm interested. That's like so. I think I got a third. I have a third one. I have a few that could be my third, but I'm going to say Inception.
Ooh,
that's a good
movie. That was Inception, good. That was really well done.
It's like I could get in all avant-garde stuff. Like these movies that I goose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way they did everything, I was like, I would love to shoot something like that. Yeah. Like it was so different. I think that's another Christopher Nolan joint too. Yeah. It was so different. Dudes, I was like mind blown. Like, how did they do that? And I'm always whenever I watch a movie, like I got Voodoo. And my kids be like, Dad, why you always buy movies? I get the extras, and I watch all behind the scenes of how they did it, how they was able to create it, what they were doing on set, the trainings, the DP, and I watch all of those things, and it's like, man, the thought it went into Inception and how they shot it and created it, and all that went into it. After I seen that, I was like, yeah, I want to shoot. That's when I really I need to go back to shooting cameras.
Yeah, because I'm like, we can get into all the. I can name a bunch of like avant-garde films and indie films and stuff that I love, and like made me also want to like be a writer and all these kind of stuff. And so, but it's like, dude, like we all wanted to get into this stuff. To make the stuff that's like, how did they do that? Right. What? Whoa, what was like that's why you get into this. Come on now. Yeah. So yeah. I feel you 100%, man. For sure. Yeah, if I had to name some ones that funny enough made me want to be a writer, I always top it off to him, even though like he's made some goofy films over the last couple of years. Kevin Smith has been a big influence for me for being a writer. If you ever go back and watch like the first like Clerks and especially Chasing Amy and some of those like the writing and even Dogma, and these are like kind of goofy comedies, and he makes these like weird kind of goofy movies, but like some of the dialogue in those films are so good. There's the one scene he had with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon where they're going back and forth and they're angels. And they're talking about like they're like falling from heaven, like God like banished them to earth or whatever. And he's just like, I heard a rant like that before. And he's like, what are you talking about? I heard a rant like that. I mean, what are you talking? He's like, you sound like the morning star. You sound like Lucifer. You like this the whole way they do. Like he does such creative dialogue that I don't think he gets enough credit for because he's been known as this comic guy and all this other kind of stuff. But he's the first dude that I like really paid attention to writing and was like, how stuff. And like spoke to me and was like, I need to get better at writing. And I need to, you know what I mean? And yeah. So it was all kinds of films like that.
Out there, man.
But anywho, man, I think we've been on long enough. We're about approaching 2.5 hours, man.
I think so. Yeah, 2.5 almost. Yep.
Once again, dude, this has been an awesome, man. Like I love like the interviews have been going so well, man. We're just conversating to the point we forget the time, bro.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you so much, bro.
I appreciate
coming on here with us, man, and taking the time, bro. I so appreciate it, bro. Yo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just man, God bless and everything and all your ventures and everything you got going on, man. I'm so happy and proud of you, man, and everything that you're doing, bro. From where I met you to where you are now, man, and to see you keep growing and doing your thing, and you and wifey have built, a business and soon I believe an empire. Yourselves, man. I just hope you don't forget the little people here, man. You got another cinematographer here, guy. Hire me anytime, guy.
I'm always those people. Man, even, you just gotta leave room.
you know, for people that's always been there for you, and you know, all the people that I've created great relationships with. You know, I look forward to being able to, you know, share what God is going to be blessing us with. You know, so and even not even just share it, but allowing them to be a part of it. You know, where they could partake in that on a with for themselves as well, not just like, oh, you here with me and you just a part of the situation, you know, but become part of the situation where you're in position to, you know, do things for yourself and, you know, be a part of what's happening, you know, not just be the entourage. So I always want people, you know, genuine people like yourself, you know, to be in position like that. So, you know, I might be calling you like, yo, I need this poster done. I got such a spike lead back here, bro. Like, listen, man, we gotta trying to get this done. John is the guy to call. So we doing it. And just work like that, man. But I definitely appreciate it, man. It was a pleasure to be able to share this platform with y'all.
Absolutely.
And be able to share this time and talk. So thank both of y'all, man. And you know, many blessings to what y'all doing in y'all careers. And I just pray that y'all continue to have success and, you know, stay the way y'all are, as open and continue to grow and just get better every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much, bro. Have a good night.
No doubt.
You as well.
Y'all too, man.
Yes, sir.
Get to the fan, bro. So we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, man. Y'all have a good.
Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna end this.